Hey, everybody, listen, board this train, okay? It's the Diva train. It is Monday night, and you know what we do on Mondays when it is in season. The Real Housewives of Potomac. This is reunion part 2, and all I can say is OMG. Listen, you know, a couple seasons ago, all of these 1 part 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the reunion, it was giving us nothing. This reunion is worth every single part. I enjoyed it. There's a lot to talk about. We got to get into this thing because we have so many things to dissect, break up, and have a conversation about. So y'all know how you got to get your ticket. Yes, it was fire. Y'all know how you get that ticket. Okay, we about to pull out of the station, and y'all just tell me in the chat there so we can move this train along. Choo choo! All aboard, everybody. Get your ticket. Your ticket is that like button. Bronx in the building. Y'all know I'm originally from the Bronx, born and raised, okay? Hey, Carol. So get your ticket. Hit that like button because we are about to pull this train out the station. Now, we got a monthly ticket holder, okay? She always in the building. Hey, Auntie Robyn.
Hey, Diva.
Listen, we about to get into it. Choo choo.
Choo-choo. Listen,
hey,
Hey, Auntie Robyn. Hey, Diva. I'm pretty petty and shading on ready.
Okay. Hey, Emmanuel.
Hey.
Hey, Diva. I have a feeling this is going to be a bumpy ride on the train tonight. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Calling it early. We're going to have turbulence on the train. So you know what, y'all better buckle your seat belts. We about to get this in. Wait a minute. We got a stranger boarded.
Ooh, hey, man.
Hello. You listen, last night's episode was so good, I had to come out the bushes. I had to
come out the bushes.
I had to.
Come out the bushes. Choo-choo. Hey, Obi.
Hey. I'm here for the Nigerian queen with no time for me.
Well, I'm glad you're joining us on this train ride. We're glad to have you. And listen, guys, that's right, everybody, buckle your seat belt because we're going to have, you know, a conversation tonight. Now, we're starting off reunion part 2, you know, with Giselle and Candace. Listen, you know, Candace has grown up right before our eyes. We have said this many a times, okay? And she wanted to know from Giselle, you need to talk to me. You need to tell everybody exactly what Chris did to you, that you had to go around to every single one of these ladies and tell them that my husband made you so uncomfortable. You called him a sneaky link. You, in addition to that, said that, you know what, he wanted to see if you was with it, if you was going to give him some. She was being messy, okay? And so Mia had the nerve. You know what? I was rooting for Mia, but I think I'm sick of her. Mia had the nerve to say, Candace, you made this bigger than it was. Girl, you better shut up and sit down. My husband...
Was it like Giselle who said that? Was it Mia? I thought it was Giselle.
Mia told, well, what, Giselle? I didn't think Giselle... Did Giselle say that? Well, Giselle might have said it, but Mia said it too. Okay, come on. Candace gives me like, come on now. Come on now. Come on. Candace was doing everything. Giselle's makeup was melting. Giselle was going through it. Okay, looking a whole hot mess. But either way, they were saying that, Candace, thank you, Fifi. Mia said it, right? That Giselle was that Candace was making this more than what it was. Somebody saying yes, Giselle said it. Giselle might have said it, but Mia connected with it and said that yes, she was. And that's when she had to tell her to shut up. Shut up, because first of all, this is my husband. Okay. And then Ashley want to talk about how Giselle wants to just put some sauce on things. No, y'all all going to shut up right now, because this is my husband. Okay. And you're trying to make him seem like in front of millions of people that he's some predator. And then in addition to that, you was in my face for a whole 6 months before we started filming. And you didn't say nothing to me. Why? Because you waited for the cameras so you could earn your check. That's what that sister said. Come on, Candace. Give it up for Candace. She said you waited for 6 months so that you could earn your check. So if you really felt so uncomfortable, why all of that time you was in my face, you didn't say anything? Jen Giselle wanted to act like I really wasn't going to say anything, but when Ashley brought up this, that, and the other, stop it, Giselle. You waited, like Candace said, to earn your check, and that's why Candace said, now this was a little mean, but it is what it is, because listen, you did her husband dirty. That's why Candace said you had your whole uterus you could have talked about. But you ain't want to put your business out there, but you want to destroy my family and my husband, okay? And Mia was 100% in agreement with Candace, but she said, and this I think is ridiculous, that the men feel like they can't even speak to these females because they may be accused of something sinister just by doing natural things, saying hello, giving hugs, and interacting with the cast. How is this going to be the Real Housewives? You're a housewife. You're a housewife, and housewives
not all of them
are husbands, right?
Thank you,
so
Robyn.
How are you going to have a cast of housewives, but the husbands are going to be afraid to speak because these singles people want to act like, because somebody spoke, it's a big deal. Ashley got busted for her friend, okay? Because they showed how Ashley's friend lied. Now, Ashley want to say that editing changed the words that Chris said. Ashley, come do one better than that. She going to say that her friend insists that his words didn't match up with his lips and his mouth. So they're trying to say that editing helped him change his words so it wouldn't seem like that. Well, did editing change your words too? Because you were the one that said, oh, my husband's name is Chris. You were the one that had this whole big conversation with Chris. That was a bit much. So as she sat there, took no responsibility that she was spreading some lies that her friend Deborah, or whatever her name is, wanted to say. It was a whole hot mess. I want to stop there and let's talk about that conversation for a while. And when I got to see the closer, just, side thing here, yeah, that girl was lying, period. Somebody said lying Muppet. Somebody said Cookie Monster. Somebody said Cookie Monster. Yeah, somebody said Deborah is delusional. All of the above. All of y'all right, okay? Yes, her friend was thirsty. But you thirsty and you doing something that can destroy somebody's husband. You're lower than low. You're gutter low.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go around really quickly. Auntie Robyn, what are your thoughts? And hold on one second. Jacob, I want to let you up, but I'm the only one that can see. You need to show me your face because I've never seen you before. I can't get into any YouTube trouble. So if you want to show me your face really quickly, you can go back on your avatar and I'll let you up. But until then, I can't let you up. All right, Auntie Robyn, your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to leave deplorable Deborah alone for a minute because she got definite issues.
Yes.
I want to start out with my overall statement and then we'll come back with specifics.
Mm-hmm.
These women are mostly horrid, horrible, disgusting.
Yes.
I came to the conclusion watching this episode that Giselle is devoid of any human emotion. I thought that she was just merely asexual before, But now I think that she don't feel nothing for nobody, no kind of way. And I also think that she's pretty not smart. I like to call her stupid and dumb, but that's mean, so I don't use that kind of language. But she's all of that.
Can I say something on that, Robyn?
Hi, Miss
Hey, how
Juanita.
y'all?
Yeah.
Wait, Juanita, just give me 1 minute because I do want to go around and give everybody a chance. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Go ahead. Finish. Robyn.
Oh, no, I'm
sorry.
done because I'm gonna go ham later.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Juanita. I'll let you jump in, and I'm gonna back up to Smoke.
I don't know. There was somebody on the platform, on Sherelle's platform, that said something that makes sense. That with her Giselle being married to Jamal, and
I
all
heard
the
that.
women
I heard that.
cheated on her.
But you know what? Hold on, Juanita. I heard that because I watched Sherelle. You know, that's my boo.
Yeah,
but I don't even want to bring that nonsense into here. And I'm going to tell you why, right? Because, listen, Giselle's been far removed from Jamal Bryant. There have been other females in this world that have been done dirtier than Giselle was under Jamal Bryant. And they're not running these streets, treating everybody like trash, trying to break up everybody's marriage because they had a terrible marriage. So I'm not even going to give Giselle an excuse because of everything that she went through with Jamal Bryant.
Oh, no. I wasn't trying to make an excuse for her, but I said that could be a possibility too. But, she just low down. That's all I see.
Yeah, she's low down. Yeah, thank you, Fifi. Exactly. It's called therapy and healing. I don't know too many people who has lived in this world long enough that ain't go through no trials and tribulations and had any pain. So, Giselle, get your life together. See a therapist. But you're mean, you're evil, you're nasty, and you are doing anything for a check. And like they said, all money is not good money. Let me tell you something. I know how to humble myself. I will work in Target, leave Target, go to Walmart, and then leave Walmart and go work in McDonald's before I just be dirty, nasty, evil, and mean to people. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do anything for a check. We're not about to do that, especially on the TV when you got 3 daughters that are impressionable. And that are seeing everything that you're doing. So do better, Giselle, as a mother. Do better as a person that is presenting themselves on TV. And do better because you are part of a sorority. And sororities are about sisterhood. Now, I ain't going to go down that whole road. But I'm just going to say, Giselle, do better. I'm not giving her no excuses. Smoke, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Smoke, can I say something real fast, please?
Go ahead.
One of the things that you just said, Diva, is that Giselle has daughters and that they can learn from her. Maybe let's hope not, because she didn't even teach them the general, just basic things about their body. So I don't think that we're in danger of her teaching them anything. That's it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Smoke.
In the words of Selena Johnson, what you have done to these women in these Potomac streets is a sin, and there's a special place in hell for an itch like you. Because it's just unmanageable. And like the fact that she was a first lady in a church is very frightening. Because if you're doing this on national TV, only knows what happens, what you did behind closed doors when no one was watching. So I think at the very root, Giselle is just a very unhappy, miserable, despicable human being who thinks that she is entitled to a certain life and certain privileges, and because she has not gotten it and she has gotten the short end of the stick, she's just ready to throw everything and everyone into chaos and amok. And I feel really bad for those children, because yes, she may look good with them on TV, but something in their eyes tells me in those scenes that there's a darker side to Giselle that they know as well. So we're gonna leave it at that, and I'll pass it back to you.
They called her mean years ago. They said that she was mean when she wasn't dating nobody. I think even Karen said that. If she's not getting steady, loving, that she's just as mean as a pit bull.
Yeah. So that's, what, you brought up a good point, Roy. I'm saying Roy. I'm
in his spot.
You brought up a good point, Smoke. You're a former first lady. Come on now, former first lady. Is none of your training coming up in your head? So that you can, and you want to sit there and you want to try to make what you did to Chris right. No matter how you want to do this, you was dead wrong. Point blank in the period. You done ate in these people's house. You done been around Candace. You done ha with her for 6 months straight. And then when it's lights, camera, action, you want to throw her husband under the bus. Shameful, dreadful, deplorable. Obi, what do you want to say about this situation?
I think Domas Mia is a liability because besides just being violent, she's also a liar. And then the way she's just able to spew things out of her mouth and just make up things on the spot is actually like concerning. So, she said when she was like arguing back and forth with Candice and Giselle, she said, why can't you just acknowledge that your husband was inappropriate with Giselle? Mm-hmm. And I was like, why would you use that word inappropriate? What did he do? Giselle hasn't even answered the question yet. And then the person that she's defending actually rebuts to her and says, no, he didn't do anything inappropriate. He just made me uncomfortable. Why is Mia even trying to defend Giselle? Did Giselle not just accuse her of embezzlement? So she doesn't even know like where her alliances should lie. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, but you know what, Obi? Because Mia's just trying to pull on any string right now. Because she's hanging on a thread. So she figured, let me step up for it. You know what? They all want to be in the good graces of Giselle and Robyn. Yep. But see, if they was really smart, they will form their own alliance and make it such that Giselle and Robyn will have to try to connect to them.
That's right.
But they feel inferior. They're allowing this to come out. Because see, I would turn that situation around. And Wendy is trying to help Candace, but Candace, even though Robyn did what she did to her, she still loved Robyn. But whatever. Mel, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off. I mean, it's a lot to digest. I haven't called in for a minute, but I will just say this. For me, I was just focused on asking you for 1 minute. I think that when I saw the reunion last night, what I saw was that the whole season flew right by. We didn't learn anything deep or real about Ashley. She could not even been there this season. Her storyline was just totally trash and garbage. Now, when it comes to Giselle, she needs to stop living in the school days and that likely movie where the people were doing the colorism thing going on. Because you see, this is the thing for me. Usually with these shows, and I watch every other franchise, when you have a battle with one of your cast members, you go to a reunion, you get heated. When you come back, you shake hands, you move on. I said it from the beginning of this year. They did not do that with Wendy. She could have investigated them. She could have brought every person that Giselle ever did business with, slept with, or even went to the doctor with. She could have brought them on that show, and they could have really went to war. Now, mind you, now that we know what you're doing, Miss Giselle, it's on and popping. Next year, we're going to be investigating you. We're going to be coming to the scene with the cookie lady and the bag lady and everybody else in your past. We're going to get there on that. Whenever you come to that scene, you're going to be running from those scenes like Karen to be doing. We're going to get you. We have our eyes on you. So if the ladies are really about that life, yes, right, Miss Steve. So the ladies really about that life, if this is what they doing, play the game. Because they not playing by no rules. The rules was that we can dog out Karen, and then we got to come back there and play in her face and say, oh, we friends. I want you to invite me to your house. When you brought a pizza to my house when my mother was dying. So the thing is with them, they want people to forgive them and play the game. And now when Wendy was there, she didn't do anything wrong this season. She just was basically a punching bag, literally. And now at the reunion, she said, I don't like you, so you deserve to be attacked. So now for me,
sure did.
We going back to next season. That's okay. The reunion, Wendy and everybody else. Yeah, you know what? You see her true face. Now get her. When she gets to that next season, don't give her a chance to breathe. Every time she's in that show, you bring up every single scandal she's ever had, and you're going to sit right there and say, "This is the new rules." I respect everybody else in the cast, but I'm never going to respect you ever.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Real quick, I was going to mention also that I wasn't mad at what Candice said regarding her uterus, because if she was really, if she was waiting for her dwindling uterus actually to put it on TV, because dwindling means shrinking uterus, which is actually what was happening to her, right? So basically, she's talking about the storyline. If her uterus storyline was waiting for her to put it on TV, but instead of talking about this, we should have actually made the public to be more relatable to her, and we should have actually made more sense as a storyline, and people can actually learn from. She decides to start attacking people's marriages. I'm not mad at her.
She attacks. Emmanuel, what are your thoughts?
Sorry. Well, I disagree. I think that uterus coming was out of pocket. But,
amen.
Yeah, regardless of. Never mind. Okay, so first of all, Deborah. Oh my. somebody said it. She's a special case. I think she lost her mind. Whenever she finds it, we'll talk about it. But it's embarrassing. Every time I see the scenes that they play back, it's
You
like
want to
nails
hide,
on a
you want to
chalkboard.
hide your face for her. But you know what though? She was desperate. Everybody wants this Bravo check, right? They all want to be on TV. So Ashley thought she was going to give her in, and she was going to have her PYTs be a part of this show. But see, Deborah was stupid. I wouldn't have connected to that particular storyline for a check. Now I'm good. What, you want me to accuse somebody man or something? I'm not doing that. I'm good. Now, if you want
Yeah.
to show me and I come for a play date with my kid with yours, I do that and see if the people like me and maybe want to get to know me, and I could slide in some other way. I'll show up at parties at your house. Do like Shamia. What's her name? Shamia did on Roa. But there's no way I would have connected to that storyline. But go ahead, Emmanuel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then it's the way, like the way she says "Happy Eddie," and then the way Giselle snickers, like she's rejoicing when she was hearing that. But somebody said about Giselle therapy and healing. I think it's much more than that. I don't think even therapy can help Giselle at this point. I think it's going to take a miracle. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's like Robyn said earlier. She seems to be lacking any human emotion. I mean, anything that they say to her, it's like she's so stoic, and it's unbelievable. But we'll get into it more.
And Tanya, I hope I'm saying your name right. The Eula's comment was cold, but Giselle is colder.
I'm
I
telling
hate to
you.
say this, but I agree.
Oh,
And she said about her Candace's husband was worse than her saying something about her uterus. She did talk about her uterus. Do y'all do realize Giselle is not a actual producer, right? Why don't y'all ever blame the editors for what the storylines are? Trent, we'll get into that,
Well,
Trent.
I
Trent, why
blame
don't you come
Candace
up
for saying
here?
that.
But
I
hold on,
blame.
Emmanuel.
Okay.
E, what are your thoughts?
Hello, everyone. I am on my computer, so I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
we can hear you
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. So I have a difference of opinion. I think Candace was doing too much.
Oh my.
Now, I'm not running my blood pressure up over Candace and Giselle when Candace already forgave Giselle months ago. I'm not buying into this fake storyline. It's all an act. Giselle is Vanessa Williams and Candace is I Love New York. These two are no different than Jaguar Wright and LaGuenda, or Lagunda, as Tokyo Tony calls her, when they're on YouTube and acting like she's Aaliyah's daughter. Enough is enough with these fake storylines, y'all. The only thing that upset me in this scene was Mia. Mia, let me have a word with you. Why are you jumping into this back and forth with Candace and Giselle and coming to Giselle's defense after Giselle already accused you of embezzling money in part one? Mia, you have to stay all the way back. And the same thing with Candace saying Robyn is your friend. Baby, Robyn ain't nobody's friend. This scene only confirmed for me that Wendy, Candace, and Mia all have low self-esteem. It's plain to see.
mm.
Well,
Mm.
someone said Giselle's father marched with Martin Luther King Jr. civil rights movement for the rights of this some type of freedom. To say that Wendy, to say to Wendy she's unhuman, that you say that you are black and proud. Okay, yeah, I heard about that too. We'll get into that. Juanita, your thoughts?
I just think this Giselle is just despicable, deplorable. She's nasty. She's cold hearted, and she sat up there the whole time just a stone face. I mean, her face was just as cold as it could be. She just don't care about anybody but herself and Robyn. And then for Robyn to always come into her defense, she got her own trash to clean up. So I do I am glad that Wendy um, told her off. Excuse me. And I'm glad that Candace told her to take that apology and where to shove it.
Shove it up
So,
that booty.
uh-huh. So I wish that Candy and Giselle and Karen would gang up on them and, like you said, have their own alliance and just tell them where to go because I'm sick of Robyn, I'm sick of Giselle, and I'm sick of Mia. I can't wait to see what Jacqueline's gonna expose.
Well, Jacqueline came ready. She gonna ready. Cause Jacqueline's pissed. She's a woman scorned. You said Giselle is a woman scorned. Giselle is a woman scorned. That's why she's so cold-hearted. She needs prayers. She needs to do the work. Because Giselle is in her 50s, okay? And she's too old to be acting this way. And what's going to happen with Giselle is she's running down that same path as Lisa Renner.
Yep.
She's going to one moment go too far across the line where she's not going to be able to turn back. And she tapped the line. She had one foot over the line and one foot on one side of the line with this whole Chris situation. And if you notice, she tried to clean it up.
Yep.
Because when Mia tried to jump in and help her, she said, no. I didn't feel that he did anything inappropriate. What I said is that he made me feel uncomfortable. Okay, because she kept trying to say that to Candace. I said he made me feel uncomfortable. What are you not getting? No, what we're not getting, Giselle, is you got to tell us what did he do to make you feel uncomfortable besides standing in the room and trying to talk to you.
Exactly.
I have a question, Diva.
Wait, guys, because I need to let Sebastian in. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Sebastian, what are your thoughts? Because I'm getting worked up
I want
already.
to say this. Hi, everyone. How are you guys tonight?
Hey.
Tonight is gonna get controversial as hell, but as you know, whenever I'm somewhere, we know how it goes. Okay.
Told you.
Candace needs to watch what she says about health and women's body parts, especially knowing that you are at a certain age trying to have a child, and you know damn well words have meanings and can cause things.
Oh my
Those words
gosh.
about
That's
dwindling
right.
uterus,
Oh,
the
Lord.
words about
That's a lesson
dwindling
Giselle needs
uterus
to
could
learn.
cause you to not even have a uterus to bear a child, Candace. You don't say those type of words. Second, we need to talk about this whole Chris and Giselle situation. Giselle, if he made you feel uncomfortable, great. Well, too bad. There was no evidence. There was nothing about it. Too bad. You just need to shut up. That's all you can do right now. That's it. That's all you can do. We can't do much like that. It's not like he armed you.
really.
It's not like he there was recordings. It's not like he was mic'd and they heard things. There was nothing. We've seen things with Michael Darby, but we have not seen anything with Chris Giselle. So your story is just not. It's not corroborating. It's not. It's not. There's no credibility to it. So it's just done. The judge has thrown it out. It's horrible. We also, I hope we need to see this. Candace, I need Candace to stop being the pick me girl. I really do. She would have won me over this whole season if she stops being the pick me girl. You know damn well next season she's gonna be riding back on.
She was in Billy Dan.
She's gonna be riding back on Giselle and Robyn's coattails. We can see it already. We can see it. She's already loving Giselle and everything. Candace needs to stop being the pick me. I'm tired of her doing it. Once she stops, that's when I'll probably like her fully.
Diva, can I ask a question after Sebastian's done?
As of right now, Candace is doing too much. I don't think so.
I disagree with
Ashley,
you.
I'm gonna come for
hold on, Sebastian. Candace is doing too much. Wait, hold on, Sebastian. I'm gonna let you finish. But so this Sonia, thank you, Sonia. Thank you for being on the train ride tonight. She said, why are people so sensitive to what Candace says and not to the people who disrespect her? And I'm gonna add to it, her husband.
Yes.
And her husband.
Giselle has 3 kids.
So you can
Candace
say my
doesn't have any.
husband. So hold on, Sebastian. You can say my husband's filling people's butts. He got a whole job. He got a real job outside of this TV thing here, right? So
And
you
which
can
he
say
lost.
my husband is filling people's butts, trying to talk to people, doing the most. He made you feel uncomfortable. And I say something about your uterus and people are in an uproar. Like, we got to stop. Go ahead, Sebastian.
And we don't come for people's health. I don't come for people's health. I was raised in certain morals where you don't come for people's health.
Thank you,
You
Mel.
don't come for someone's health. You don't come for someone's marriage. I've literally have said Giselle, her story's not corroborating. There's no credibility at all. She needs to go sit down with it. It's done. I don't want to even hear it. I don't want to even hear this story again next season. The day I hear this story again next season, I'm turning my TV off.
But Sebastian,
tell the truth and stay in church, Sebastian, because you're right. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And Candace is so rough. She's so abrasive. She's so
Wow.
crass.
She was
It's
barely there this year.
unbelievable. It's
Wow.
unbelievable.
Candace-
She was barely
I had
there.
to turn down
Candace
my.
does.
Wait,
Candace
Diva,
doesn't
yeah.
have a child. Candace does
wait,
not have a
Diva, can I
child.
speak
right.
to can I speak to
Diva
that
has-
point about the
Okay,
child
so
thing
hold
with
on,
Candace?
Sebastian.
Listen.
Go ahead. Wait, hold on,
finish.
Sebastian.
She's on
Smoke,
that
jump
woman's
in.
uterus.
Go ahead,
The,
Smoke.
you do realize the reason why Chris and Candace are deciding to do the IVF is Candace is a full-time housewife. She's an artist, and she doesn't want to miss out on the opportunity to have children. So that is why they decided to do the egg retrieval and IVF as they did. And they're not the only couple that do that. I don't think it's because she has issues.
I never said she had issues.
But
How
you're
was
saying
Kenya?
that she
How
needs
was
to be
Kenya when she- how
careful
was
with
Kenya when
Her
she had
words,
hers?
because
Kenya was older,
karma's,
wasn't
karma's a B. That's my
I think
thing.
Kenya.
Karma's a
Okay,
B.
but here's
And
my
there's
second
certain
point.
limits.
Kenya.
There's certain limits you don't go when talking about people's health.
Tell this to
Never know what
Giselle.
will come
Hold on.
But Candace
one
needs to be
second.
responsible.
Hold on
No,
one
she
second.
don't.
Giselle is a 50-year-old woman. She ain't responsible with her words.
But you gotta be responsible for yourself and
Okay,
your
wait,
words.
hold on one second, everyone,
Okay.
because I
That's
want
right.
everyone to hear everyone's point. So hold on one second. There goes the colorism again. They're saying Candace is abrasive and rough, but Giselle isn't.
Thank you.
Listen.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So wait, hold on one second, Sebastian. Hold on. Thank you for the
Lord.
super chat. Hold on one second. Thank you for the super chat. Her dwindling uterus was waiting to tap in, and she wouldn't let it. Okay.
Ooh,
All right.
okay.
So listen. Thank you for the super chat. Here's the deal, right? We are so emotional, some of us on this panel, about the fact that she talked about a uterus, but we're okay with the fact that she said something about someone's husband
Exactly.
that could cost him his job, that could
Exactly.
perhaps landed him in
I'm not
jail
okay with that.
doing
They're
time.
both wrong.
Like that
Giselle
was
like
wrong. No
I'm
one
okay
was
with
in the
that.
uproar.
I am.
Hold on, let me finish. No one's in the uproar over that. But because something was said about a uterus, we all we emotional. We like that was wrong. Listen, Giselle got her 3 kids. She does. I'm not saying this is a reason why her uterus should have been taken away from her, but let's be clear here. We cannot compare apples to oranges.
Yeah.
This girl's husband lost a whole lot
Everything.
of clients.
Right.
His family was questioning him to make sure, like, did you make her feel uncomfortable? Yeah. Come on. Thank you for the help tonight. Thank
Diva,
you.
as much as
They'll
I
call
try,
the
listen,
man a sneaky link.
But you know,
what?
but
He-
but
I'm
Diva, you know
saying
another thing
this.
too. I would rather somebody send a nasty tweet about your body part than say that your partner was a predator. How about that?
Thank
That
you,
part.
Trent.
Well,
Listen,
so don't-
Chris
don't
has
blame-
never had a
How
job
about that?
that's
How
stable,
about that?
okay? Chris has a
Giselle calling
5-page
people,
long resume.
Giselle calling people a predator, and that girl up there for the whole. Now this is what I want to say. Candace was sleeping this whole season. She was not there this year. So when she watched the show and she there, she said something. All right, I don't give a damn. I really don't like Giselle. As she said on that show last night. Well, you know, whatever kind of reach she get, I think it's good for her. I don't think that nobody should be protecting that nasty, disgusting
I'm
woman.
not trying to protect Giselle.
I'm
What
not
I
saying
am
that
trying
you
to
are,
protect-
honey. I'm not
I'm
saying
trying
that
to
you are. I'm
protect
saying in
Chris.
general. I'm
There's
saying in
certain
general.
things you don't say, and I'm going to
Diva,
say
can
this.
I just say
A lot
something
of
really
women-
quickly?
A lot of women do feel a certain way when when body parts that are traditionally known to
They feel that way about their partners too, becoming predators.
with
I mean,
a woman
yeah.
Well, don't
are being
blame
disrespected.
Giselle for that.
I'm not saying
That's
Giselle is
Candace's
completely
fault.
right. Giselle is completely wrong. I don't
Candace is
support
not
her
Yeah.
responsible
making
for
false
Giselle.
Okay, so
accusations.
hold on one second, guys. Hold
You're
on.
responsible for that
Emmanuel,
crazy
what do you
woman.
want to say? Then I'm going to add this next scene into it.
Just
Go ahead.
really
Go ahead,
quickly.
Emmanuel.
I understand what Sebastian's saying. There are certain things in life when it comes to health, disabilities, children that you just don't cross.
And
Not
partner.
because and it's not about Candace offending Giselle. It's about words. Words have meaning and they come back to you.
They
The
do.
tables turn, karma comes. So when you're in a situation like Candace trying to have a baby, saying things like that is not okay.
Mhm.
Wow.
you.
So cancer, no cancer.
Wait, hold on.
And
let's be
neither
clear.
is
That's
cancer
not
no
okay
cancer.
either.
One
That's
second,
not okay
guys.
either.
Hold on one second, because I want to add another scene to this conversation. But hold on one second. When Monique was asking about Pastor Jamal,
Okay, now.
Mhm.
Oh, have mercy.
Giselle,
Bring it on.
come
Bring
on
it.
now,
Bring it.
Mel. Come on now, Mel.
Bring it. Bring
They
it
was
on.
okay. Giselle was all in the uproar.
Yes, she
Right.
was.
Okay, was trying to act like Monique didn't have the right number, that Pastor Jamal wasn't doing all kind of this, that, and the other. Giselle was pissed. So
Yes.
now and it was
Right.
nowhere near the accusations that Giselle did to Chris.
That's
Just,
right.
just
Both Chris,
listen.
all Chris.
I think we use the word karma too loosely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Look at
when
Giselle.
people do dirty deeds, yeah, it comes back to you. But simply saying that somebody's dwindling uterus, they could have talked about that instead of trying to break up marriages.
I'm
That
telling
ain't
you.
gonna be no karma coming back to you. That is, you know what, God, forgive me. I said that to her. I'm sorry, but
That's
she
not how it
deserved
works.
it. But hold on one second.
It's
This
about
is
energies.
a statement
Go
right
ahead,
here.
Miss Diva.
Hold on one
You know, go
second,
ahead, girl.
guys. I
Yeah.
think Chris
I love
saw
it.
Giselle as a sister. Amen. Thank you for being here on the train tonight. Speak to the people.
Well, then
Felt
he
that
about
he
as
could
slow.
talk
He
to
about
her.
as slow as
Wait,
Mia then.
wait, hold on one second. Felt that he could talk to her freely without this scandal. Hallelujah. That part right there. He wanted to talk to Giselle off camera and without the mic concerning his feelings. Because if you remember that reunion, guys, Giselle asked him at one point, because he was pissed that Nicki Minaj trying to make his wife sing on the spot because Nicki was trying to clown her. She was trying to clown her. Now, if we're going to talk, we got to talk truth.
But
Nicki
Diva,
was trying to clown. I'm going to let you in, E. Hold on one second. Nicki was trying to clown her. So after she sung, Chris came out there and told Candace himself that he was pissed. And then Andy came behind Chris and said, listen, your wife did a good thing. I think this was a good thing for her. And Giselle said to him, are you okay? So Giselle even tried to talk to Chris to say, Chris, calm down. It's not as bad as you think. She even said, Nicki grilled all of us. So he's thinking, okay, she knows I'm upset. She knows how I'm feeling. Let me have a sidebar with Giselle after this whole thing about my feelings. So what you're saying right there, and I don't want to mess up your name, you speaking facts. Thanks for helping me remember what happened in that reunion last year. So I'm telling you really quickly, E, because I need to add another scene. But go ahead. What did you want to say to me? Because y'all got me worked up.
first of all,
Go ahead, Miss Diva. Come
all
on.
of these people have low self-esteem. If the people to keep saying that Robyn and Giselle are their friends, after the way that Giselle treated your wife, and I'm using air quotes, the way she treated your wife, you think this is your friend and you need to go and talk to her in the back room by yourself because she's your sister. Sisters don't treat your wives this way. So whatever happened to Chris, he brought it upon himself. If you felt that badly about how Nicki spoke to Candace, then go have a conversation with Nicki. Go step into Nicki's hotel room. What's this thing about going to talk with Giselle? Is Giselle in charge of the girls? Did I miss the memo? Did I miss the memo?
You missed the memo, E.
Thank
You
you.
know
Did
I
he have
love
access to Nicki?
hold on one second.
You
You
probably didn't
missed
have
the
access.
memo because if you go back and watch that reunion, Giselle asked Chris, are you okay? What's the matter?
That doesn't mean let's talk,
started
though.
the conversation.
What?
It is not
Thank
mean
you, E.
let's talk.
They friends.
He was
What?
Giselle
No.
didn't. Giselle
Are you
didn't tell him at the
serious?
time.
If
It
I
is not
ask
mean
you,
let's
if I
talk.
ask you, are you okay? That doesn't mean let's go to my hotel room and talk
Because-
about it. That means,
So
are
then
you
why
okay
you
right
agree?
now?
Why you agree then?
Right,
If
they're
you
just
know I'm
friends.
drunk, you know I'm out of my mind, you know I'm not in my right state of mind right now. When I ask you, why would you agree? I
It's
would be
sweet
like, no, you
nothings.
go get some coffee, go over there at the bar, we'll talk tomorrow.
And
It's
why
sweet
would you
nothings.
close the door?
It's
That
sweet
part.
nothings.
You know what I was going to say too? You know what? In my opinion, I don't want to say nothing too crazy. In my opinion, the only predator in that room, I'm going to be crazy about this. The only predator in that room was Giselle. How about that? What if that man went in that room, talked to his friend, and she went in there thinking about some kind of crap? So the thing is, if he went and talked to her, he wasn't thinking about any of the stuff that she brought up on the show this year. He was talking to a friend. I
So
think that right now,
she's not his friend.
Well, you know what? But you know what, Miss E,
He
I
thought
I love you, Mel.
I know
he
you
thought
do, and I
she
love you
was.
too, Miss
He
E.
thought
But
she
I'm just
was.
saying this. What I'm saying is she made that situation nasty and crazy. That's just her mind, in my opinion. That's just her mind and her heart and her soul. She don't need no therapy. She need an
can I quickly say
exorcism, in my
something?
opinion. She need an exorcism. She was the one
Listen,
that
I actually
that
agree with
crap.
E because if you ask me, I'm a guy, right? So I can speak from a male's perspective. If my wife has female co-workers, I'm not going to be asking the female workers to go and talk to them in the room. To me, I feel like that's crossing a boundary. Also,
Thank
DMing a co-worker, regardless of what the DM is about, to come and hang out or whatever.
I don't think he
I
deserved to
feel
be called
like
a
Chris
predator
is
for that.
actually crossing some boundaries. So yes, he may be doing it from a friendly perspective, but from my own perspective, I'm like, Chris, you should not be actually doing this because this is kind of like crossing a boundary. But
How
yes, I know
old are we? Are we grown adults? Are we teenager
Yes,
and kids on a soap
I'm a
opera?
grown
Like, are
adult.
you serious?
I'm not going to be DMing my wife's
You're in a
coworker,
civilized
which is me.
society. You
My
can talk
wife's
whatever you want.
coworkers.
Okay,
I'm not
so
going
wait,
to be
hold on, guys.
DMing
Hold
them.
on, guys.
I'm not
Hold
going
on
to
one
be
second.
meeting
Wow.
Time
my
out.
wife's
Time out.
coworkers
I'm
in
gonna
a
mute everybody.
bedroom.
Time
That's
out.
crossing a
Time
boundary.
out. I'm gonna mute everybody. Hold on one second. Miss D Green, thank you for the super chat. Why is Candace allowing Giselle and Bravo to disrespect her? Candy drew the line with Phaedra. Monique left the show. What will Candace do to really stand her
She's a
ground
pick-me.
besides name calling? We're gonna hold off on that pick me. I'm gonna get back to you with that, Sebastian,
Oh, I
because
will.
again,
We
you'll use
will.
that too freely. But
Yep.
thank you, Miss D Green, for the super chat. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, her story was her hysterectomy. That would have been so good for her story in the audience. That's where I'm at with it. I agree with you. Thank you for the super chat. So hold on one second, guys. I want to add another scene to this story, okay? Because we got heated. We didn't even get to the colorist conversation yet. So they talked about Candace in the live Instagram that she did, okay? Robyn and Giselle never, like ever, take responsibility for anything that comes out of their mouth, okay? Like ever. So they talk about, they talk about that whole lot with Candace. And so Robyn admits that, she wants to pretend I didn't see the whole live, because during that live, Candace actually praises Robyn, talked about Robyn's business in a good way, but Robyn wanted to be messy, and she only played a clip of what Candace said. And like Candace said, she wanted to embarrass her, right? And so then it came up with this whole conversation of friendship between the ladies. And so Candace said she knew Robyn longer. They've been hanging out longer. And so Wendy even admitted, like, I felt some kind of way, because you want to say that Robyn is just a good friend of you, but then she played you out after, when we was on vacation with the whole speaker and doing your conversation. And, so then they want to talk about how, why does we have to have one friendship over another? See, Candace, and I like Candace, right? But Candace and Wendy don't help their own situation.
Right.
Because what they do is, it'll be serious stuff that happens to them, and they minimize it, and they don't make those ladies take responsibility, because they help them excuse their horrible, horrific behavior. And so Candace sat on that couch, and she helped Robyn excuse her horrific, horrible behavior. And Robyn had the nerve to say, we're on a TV show, so why are you getting mad that we're showing things that happen on things like we're presenting these things on camera? Well, Robyn, it's a TV show. Why didn't you and Ron get married on the TV show?
Right.
Why did you show us video footage of y'all getting married afterwards? So
Because
they
she's a hypocrite.
hypocrites, and they always just make excuses for what they do and how they do it, okay? So they piss me off with that. And Wendy made a good point. But see, the problem with Wendy and Candace is they're not thick as thieves. They don't stick together.
They need to stick together. And if they stuck together, they'll be a dynamic duo.
They would, but they don't, right? So now, but both of them at different times in the game want the affection, the friendship, and the love of the Green-Eyed Bandits, right?
Ooh.
So now Giselle talks about her health scare, right? And although I'm going to give Andy credit for doing better at the reunion, he just did better. He didn't do great, right? Because when he's talking to Giselle about this health scare, he's like, no, you're going to talk about it right now. Well, come on. The health scare, she got teary-eyed. It was real. I didn't think that was appropriate. I think there were other things that he could have said, no, you're going to talk about this now, and we need more details.
Diva, she got what? You said
What?
she got teary-eyed. I didn't see anything drop from her eyelids.
No, she didn't get teary-eyed. She got teary-eyed.
I'll give her a little teary-eyed, okay? And so, they talked about the health scare, right? Then they talked about how Robyn and Giselle's Reasonably Shady gets a lot. I think they said 4 million downloads, and they did 80 shows to date. Give them kudos for this show. Karen says she got the idea to do her live shows from Carol Burnett, Wendy Williams. Depending upon what day you speak to Karen, that's who she got the idea from. Okay. And then, she did tell what was her darn name? She told Wendy that, listen, that way before you thought about it, I had all the ideas for my candle, my this and that, but I didn't want to steal your thunder. Okay. I just want to let you live. So that's why I didn't say nothing. And I kind of do believe that, right? Giselle also claims this is the first time. This is the first time. I see you wrong, E, for that picture, but I'm gonna let you live. Giselle said for the first time she got feedback from the audience, okay, when she talked about her hysterectomy. But you know why she got feedback? Because it's the first time that she has been real, okay, and people were able to connect to her. Also, Karen did a little shade to Robyn because she said, listen, my fans are the Ladams. And, she said, Robyn's, if Andy asked her, well, what if Robyn had some fans? What would they be? She said, boring. Okay.
Now, that was funny.
The Grand Dame got to get her stuff in there.
That was funny.
Giselle is dating this guy, Jason from Summer House. I think it's a fraud. I think it's a joke. I think it's a storyline. And I also think that when Giselle, she needs love, maybe she'll change. I don't know. But when Giselle finds love and she brings that man on that show, that's when karma's going to hit her in the behind. Just like she tries to tear down every single relationship on the show. Come on, she did it to Monique. Who does she not do it to? The only person she ain't do it to is Robyn, is because her marriage was already tore down. Okay, so she did it to Monique. She did it to Wendy. She did it to Candace. So that karma, if y'all want to talk about karma, is going to come back to her the minute she has a man come on that show with her. So you know what, Giselle? Good luck with that. Now, let's talk about Wendy and this whole wanting to open the bar, okay? They talked about that. They talked about her health and her gallstones and how she's doing better, okay? And then Wendy wants to talk about how she's pissed at Mia. Now, I do remember, parts of our lives, and somebody said when she went and apologized to Mia, people said it was a game plan. She was doing it for the show, right? And this was pretty much what Wendy said. Listen, I went in your room to make up with you because I just wanted us all to get along. In other words, she was saying I was doing the show, but she said, let's be clear. I don't like you. What you did was dead wrong. It was messed up. And she said the way that everybody in this group handled it was messed up. Well, see, you know what, Wendy? Here's my trouble with that whole situation. I'm not going to, if y'all want to keep it real, it's called the Real Housewives of Potomac. If y'all want to keep it real and you was really still pissed at her throwing that drink in her face, I'm not going in your room to do no kissy, makeup, huggy.
Come on, Diva.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay? Because we're going to keep it real. We're going to give them real TV.
That's right.
I would have said I got nothing for her. When you want to throw a drink at me in your pocketbook and everything else, I ain't got no love for you. I'm done. So I will exist in the room with her because we got to do the show. Okay? But when we sit down at the table to eat a piece of chicken, she better be all the way at the other end. Don't put her next to me.
Not showing
we
the
have
coochies.
to have a room in a hotel. We got 5 bedrooms. Mine could be downstairs. Hers needs to be up. Mm-hmm. But what I'm not going to do is go in the room, hug and kiss and make up, knowing that at the end of the day, I'm still hurt over it. And when we sit down and have dinner, I want to tell all of y'all at that table, I don't like the way none of y'all handled this. Mm-hmm. So that's where she had a missed opportunity, in my opinion. So let's go on. And so then, Mia goes back and forth. Mia's another one. She throws reckless things out of her mouth because she did wanted to say that Wendy slept with Peter. I don't believe that for 1.2 seconds. Okay. Robyn, and then this is where, again, Giselle is gutter. You want to say, what happened to Wendy was wrong, but because you don't like her, you didn't give a darn. That's not a 50-year-old response. Like, that is gutter. That is some high school, grade school nonsense. Because you don't like somebody, you don't care what happened to them. That's messy. And that's why I know everything she said about Chris was a lie. Okay? But that's, again, is just my opinion, okay? what did Robyn say? Robyn tried to explain her situation about the Wendy and Mia situation too. She gonna talk about, I think Karen should have stopped it because Karen's closer to them. So you can see a fight with perfect strangers and perhaps want to break it up. I'm just talking about general here. But because you know this group and it's two people and one of them you don't like, you don't care what happened. Robyn, the way she tried to explain her way out of that situation, it was the lies for me that I couldn't deal with. And my thing is, does she look at herself and realize how stupid you look? Like, it was the lies. Couldn't deal with it. So now I want to add, they talked to all of them about how did y'all view the Monique situation one way, and now we got a less violent situation, and y'all view that a whole nother way. But they explained that off. Simply, we don't like Wendy, and that was their answer, pretty much. Okay. She says, I don't like you, so I did not care. We're gonna talk quickly about those scenes because I want to get right into the colorism split second talk. Don't talk about that yet. That scene, the colorism scene. Just quickly, I'm gonna go around and told your quick thoughts about those scenes I just mentioned. Thank you for the super chat, Dita. When you hold grudges for too long on this show, you end up like Giselle. That is true. Facts. Listen, grudges, that is true. But the thing is, Wendy claims she forgave on the show, but then she came to reunion with heat and venom. Okay. And then she wanted to tell Mia, you holding this same view 6 months later, but girl, you forgave her. So what me. Listen, I'm not trying to be funny about Mia. I could see how Mia got confused. You forgave her, and now you coming to the reunion with heat. What do you want her to do? Which one is it? You forgave her, you showing her your tata.
That's right.
And now all of a sudden you pissed at her all over again because it was deplorable. Trent, thank you for the super chat. Wendy thought the purse pop was a kinky foreplay. Don't, Trent, I ain't fooling with you. Okay, so let's go around. Remember very quickly, because I want to have a conversation about this colorism thing. Candy, what are your thoughts about those scenes I talked about?
To me, unfortunately, both Candace and Wendy come across as very color struck, basically. Like they are, for some, like mentally, they can't hold Giselle and Robyn and Mia truly accountable. And maybe because they want to be friends with them, and maybe because of and maybe because it's like, because to me, if somebody's constantly disrespecting me and constantly trying to tear me down, I'm not gonna always come back and forgive. I'm not gonna always come back and say, okay, we can still be friends. The fact that Candace had the nerve to be like, well, I was close. I've known Robyn more than I've known Wendy, and Robyn has done so many things to backstab you, but yet you still want to get back into Robyn's good graces. You still want to be friends with Mia. You still want. To me, it just comes across as color struck. I really do. I hate to say it, because to me, there's no reason why Candace and Wendy can't come together and defeat these green-eyed bandits. Because you're going to have the whole Bravo Potomac fan community with you if you did that, because it's so blatant how wrong and how badly you're being treated. But yet they just can't do it. They're still constantly trying to be my friend. I want to make you happy. I want to make amends. When 2 seconds later they're gonna stab you in the back one more time. And it just bothers me.
Listen, Candy, they stabbing them in the heart. They stabbing them in their face. Behind your back, you being sneaky. They doing it right in their face. And they still like, please, I want to be your friend. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna see. Thank you for the super chat. The reunion is meant to rehash things, LL. You are correct. But it's one thing to rehash. It's another thing to say, now I truly can't stand you. What you did to me is so deplorable, and I will never speak to you again. But you kissed me, you hugged me, you forgave me on camera, and then you show me your tata, and you want to blame it on the alcohol, the tequila. Come on, now stop.
But I think
stop. Hold on, let Candy finish. Give me a minute. Let Candy finish. Hold on 1 second, please. Hold on 1 second, please, Obi. Thank you for the super chat. I truly appreciate it. Okay, go ahead, finish, Candy. I'm coming to you, Obi. Give me a minute. Go ahead.
That whole thing about Wendy, I think also Wendy wanted a moment too. She wanted to make sure she had a moment, and I think she wanted to make sure that she got her lick in to say, even though we made up and we quote unquote kissed, I'm still gonna get back at you for like throwing a drink at me and for, you know, hitting me with your purse and for disrespecting me. But it's still that same, I need to still make up with you. I still need to be friends with you. I still want to be in your good graces. But for the reunion show, let me just get my lick in so that people can say that, you know, I got this off my chest and you're not going to get away with it. But I think next season, they're going to be friends again, probably.
Probably. So, Allie, thank you for the super chat so much. Diva changed her view on Mia after she saw that Mia was saying in the confessionals to the other woman, you have to remember this was filmed last spring, last summer. Oh, you talking about she changed her view. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you for the super chat. I gotta let that marinate in my head for a minute. Then I'll come back to you. But thank you so much, Allie. Trent said Candace is very color struck. I believe that. That's why she can't see past Chris dust. Oh, right. Come on, what she's okay? She craves the what's it? The Scandinavian. What is that?
Scandinavian adjacency.
Adjacency.
Not all
Okay,
interracial.
all
Not
right.
all. I was gonna say
All
not
right.
all. I was gonna
Wait,
say not
Obi,
all.
I'm coming
Yeah,
to you. Give me a minute. I
that was
really
me.
gotta
I was
go
just gonna
around
say
because I
not
want
all.
to hear everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, Mo. Give me a minute. I just want to hear everybody's opinion.
Not
Juanita,
interracial.
it's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, I think Candace and Wendy, you either gonna be lukewarm or you're gonna be hot. You're gonna be mad with a person, or and can't stand them, or you're gonna love them. That stop kissing butt. Giselle and Wendy, they sit down and use the toilet the same way that you do. So what is so special about them? You know, just get over it. Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Come on
And
now.
that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you. E, your thoughts on those scenes?
So, what I saw was Wendy has a hard on for Mia. And it's disgusting at this point. Wendy is all backstage talking about Mia to Eddie, talking about Mia to Chris. Like, girl, leave that on the stage. It was time for lunch, for Pete's sake. Father of Nazareth, like, give it up, Wendy. Leave Mia alone. I'm tired. So then Wendy, she refuses to leave this show based upon what you all are saying and what I saw as well. I think we agree on this point. She refuses to leave this show until it cripples her reputation to the soles of her feet. She puts her marriage up as a prop for entertainment, her job at Johns Hopkins, and her the dignity of her children. Is there anything Wendy won't sell to be a part of this show? That's the question that I want everyone to ask. Wendy wants us to believe that she is the smartest person in the room, but she is the common denominator in all of these current situations. If she truly felt the situation was so messed up and she felt that she was assaulted, then she should have left or she should have called the police, because that's what a normal person does, even if you're on television. Because when Portia attacked Kenya had Portia put in jail. We saw Portia's mugshot. And so that's what Robyn was trying to tell Wendy. If you don't want to fight on camera, then shut your mouth. Robyn tried to school Wendy, the quote unquote professor. Class was in, now it's out. Nobody wanted you there except Candace. And straight up, Mia doesn't like you. Giselle doesn't like you. Robyn doesn't like you. And Karen didn't like you initially. And they all reiterated that last night at the reunion. They still don't like you. Their dislike for Wendy is palpable, and they told her to her face. So if the Bravo check is that good to Wendy, then I expect her to suck it up or go on to Love and Marriage DC and start over like Monique did. But I'm tired of this woe is me card. I'm sick of it.
Are we watching the
Lanisha,
same
wait,
show?
hold on a second. Lanisha Jackson,
I don't
thank
know.
you
We
so
sure
much.
ain't.
Wait, hold
We
on, guys.
sure ain't.
Hold on, guys. Thank you for the super chat. I truly appreciate it. Giselle will flip on Robyn. I don't think that ever is gonna happen. I don't, but you know what? If it does, I will be in shock. Allie, thanks for joining, but give me a minute. I just want to go around the room to some people that were already here, and then I'm gonna circle back to you. Mel, your thoughts.
I didn't know it was me. Okay, so for me, oh my gosh, I don't have an issue with Wendy at the reunion. I really don't. I think that for me, I don't really have an issue with Wendy not really being fair with Giselle and Robyn. I think as one of the super chats was saying, for me as a viewer, it's hard for me to watch a show if people are holding grudges. It's really hard. So I don't know. I could watch a show with Candace and Wendy sitting there always trying to hold these very hard-headed women accountable. They don't. I mean, if they ain't changed in 50 or 60 years, they ain't changing. So either you can have the show keep on running and moving, or you can sit there and just and film separately. So I think that what Wendy did was very strategic and very smart to go there and say, look, while we're filming, this is what's happening. So yeah, it was a couple of months ago. She saw some things in the the confessional, some interviews, and she had a different opinion. I don't have any issues with, however, Wendy chose to handle it at the table, and how she chose to handle it at the reunion. And also, I think that for me, with Giselle saying that she doesn't like them, the thing I think is funny about Giselle saying that is that you don't like Wendy because she defended her husband. She defended the father of her children. That was the etymology of this situation between Wendy and Giselle. She thought that she can go on the show and say that this man was a cheater and he was having all these issues and that she wasn't going to get a reaction. She read her down to her soul and she couldn't handle that. So then when she came back, Wendy did not investigate her, didn't do anything to her. She decided to give her some sugar and try to, play the game. It's about filming the show. So even trying to hug her and all that kind of stuff, I don't think that's a pick me. It's just doing what you got to do to be on the show. I'm not sure they're hanging out when they're not filming. So I want to say it's one more thing. I want to say it's one more thing too, Diva. Yeah, so that's why I think that's the issue that Giselle has with Wendy, is that last year she defended her family. And so for me, that's disgusting to see Giselle hold on to that this long, all the way to the next reunion. Wendy has done nothing to the Green Island Bandits at all this year. No investigations, nothing too crazy, nothing. It was just because how she responded last year. So that's why you don't like her. So
they was butthurt about what she said. So was facts on the show. But here's the thing.
I was going to say one last thing. So that's why when people say, "Oh well, the ladies don't like you," that don't mean crap to me, because they don't like her because she was defending her family. So if she was being messy and she was investigating people or just going beyond the borders, and they don't like her for that, I'm like, okay, I get that, but they don't like her. They don't have no grounds to not like her. How about that?
Right. No, I do agree. So here's the thing. I hope so. A lot of people are saying, they're appalled at the Wendy hate. So I want us to all kind of think a little bit too. Like, I don't have any hate for Wendy. I actually like Wendy. But what I'm saying is one thing to do your job, right? The one to say, okay, I got to do my job. It's another thing where someone does something so egregious to you that you're going to continue on in the name of the job. So what happened is, when you want to accept that behavior, do you think it's going to go away? If I keep punching you in the face, punching you in the face, punching you in the face, do you think I'm going to stop if you don't never stop me? So there are some things that you go along with to get along because, yes, it is work. And then there's other things where, okay, you crossed the line. Now I'm going to have to stop you dead in your tracks and get you all the way together, because you threw something in my face and you threw a pocketbook at me. Now, if you want to have a back and forth arguing with me, then we're going to get it in all day long. Let's do our job. This is TV.
I love that.
But the minute you lift your hand, you throw something in my face, you throw a pocketbook at me, then we're going, now all bets are off. We belong TV. Just like when Candace stopped Giselle from talking to her in that dance studio, when she wanted to talk about her husband, she said, "Excuse me, where's Eric?" She looked for the producer. "No, excuse me, where's Eric?" This trick done went too far. She threw something in my face and she threw a bag at me. Now y'all want to stop this. This ain't on for TV. Y'all better get her all the way together.
Now, Diva, I love that part. Now, Diva, I love that. Can I say one last thing? So for me, it felt like for a long time, Wendy only had these options. Either she can leave the show, be bullied, or have to remember she was a doctor. I think for me, she just have to be human. So like you were saying.
But you know what, though? We giving her, I got to get to some other people now, but we're giving her excuses when it's convenient.
No, I'm saying that people said that she either can be bullied, or she has to leave the show, or she has to remember she's a doctor. And I'm thinking,
well,
why?
she said, no, she sat up on that reunion and said, "I could have kicked your behind." So we got to stop. But let me go to Obi. Obi, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so what I've been trying to say is, I was trying to let me not say I want to correct you, but I feel like you're wrong in saying that Wendy has decided not to go on with Mia and she's choosing the reunion to do it. I don't think that's right, because I agree with what the super chat said. They are at the reunion. They are actually discussing the violence. They are discussing the fact that everybody isolated Wendy and how everybody was actually acting towards the situation, and Mia herself, and Mia not even being apologetic when the time came up at the reunion. I expected Mia at that point to say something like, hey, I talked to you about it. I'm sorry. I've thought about it again and I'm still thinking about it. And I say that. So Wendy was responding to Mia's actions at the reunion. It's the energy that Mia was coming with and the energy that everybody was coming with that Wendy was responding to. And if you listen to Wendy's word, Wendy said, listen, I actually went to your room and I forgave you and I decided to move forward for the sake of the group and for us to move forward. I don't think she has actually gone back on that. But then she said, I could have done all these other things to you, right? She hasn't said to Mia.
We can't do.
But what I'm saying is that she hasn't said to Mia that she's not moving forward, right?
Words, Obi. We can't do the remix on the words. She clearly
I'm not remixing the words. I'm telling you what Wendy said.
No. You're remixing the words. She clearly said, I only did that. I only came to your room so we can move on with the show. But she said, let's be clear. She told her at the reunion, let's be clear. What you did to me is unforgivable. Now, we can't do a remix on the words.
But yes, it is unforgivable.
We can like Wendy. Here's the thing. I want you to be clear. Because I state what I see as the facts, I'll agree that is what I see. Because I state what I see as the facts doesn't mean that I don't like the person, okay? I'm being very clear. I like Wendy, but I'm also being clear and saying this. We can't, because we like somebody, because this is the same thing Giselle is doing. Giselle said, because I don't like you, I didn't care what happened to you. I'm saying the opposite. Because I like you, I'm not going to put blinders on to what I feel you did was right or wrong. Now, there's some things where I agree with Wendy. There's some things where I don't. And that's with all of them. All I'm saying is, if I felt the way Wendy felt at the reunion, I would have had that thing right on TV at that point, and I would have said, look, what you did to me was deplorable. And all of you ladies, the way y'all handled it was wrong too. So that's all I'm saying. I got to move on because I want to get to this colorism talk. Anybody else really quickly, because I want to throw this colorism chat in there, want to say—
Can I go?
Yep. Go ahead, Robyn.
Can I go after
Really
Robyn?
quick.
Yes.
I think that we have been, I think that all the women on the show, especially the new ones, Candace and Wendy, have been told and taught that Giselle and Robyn are central characters in this production. And for that reason, I think that reconciliatory behavior was production driven. Neither of those two women have displayed any redeeming qualities that I can't imagine wanting to be friends with them at all. It's not like they're showing us that they have connections in town, like they do anything, a good community service. Hell, I don't even think they know how to get you into a good party. So I think that it is really production driven. And like Wendy said, I'm not trying to be a friend. I'm just trying to move this show along. And then the last thing is, are we going to skip over the fact one of Robyn's lies, the one about her little JBL speaker, when she said on the show, she told us in the one instance that she was in the bathroom listening to it because she carries a speaker with her everywhere, and she heard Candace's rant. But then she just said on the reunion that
blogger sent it.
What a blogger said it. Miss me. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Allie, let me just get you in this conversation real quick, and then I want to add the colorism conversation in there. Go ahead.
Hey. This is my first time calling. Thanks for letting me on the panel.
No problem.
I guess on this topic with Wendy, honestly, all the women on this show are awful. Like, I don't like any one of them. There's just Candace and Wendy with being pick-me's, Robyn and Giselle just being horrible people.
You're going low on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Mia just needs to be off the show completely. The woman just lies for no reason. But with regards to what the last caller just said about Candace and her comments about, I guess, the JBL situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Candace has grown up from a place of privilege, and how she uses, or let's just say how she refers to women as bitches, you can tell she's not from the hood, because people from the hood, you just don't call anyone a bitch and then assume that, oh, this is just a term of endearment. No, you don't do that. So I can understand where Robyn was coming from, which I is amazing that I'm saying that because I despise Robyn. I don't need to hear the rest of the conversation you had. Your opening line is these bitches are X,
Okay,
Y,
let's
and Z.
ease up with the cursing. Let's say
Oh,
B.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
These B's are X, Y, and Z. And so from that, Candace needs to learn how to read the room. And I know she always says, oh, just because I use my words doesn't mean you can be violent towards me. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you can't control how people react to your words.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
I feel that she needs to also police herself in that way, in that way,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been best friends with my friends since we were children. They've never called me the B word a day in their life as a term of endearment. And
Mm-hmm.
some people may not take it that way. So I just feel that the JBL situation, how everyone's like, oh, you made yourself Robyn look like a clown. I don't think she did. I think Robyn was kind of justified to react in the way that she did. But that's enough for my Robyn support.
Diva, can I say something
Okay, you
before we
can,
jump?
Emmanuel. I'm gonna come to, but 1 second. Let me just say this too. Let me add to the conversation. If you're gonna comment on something, and this is in terms of what Robyn did, wouldn't you go ahead and try to listen to the whole live? So she was being messy. Let's be clear. You would, if you of all people who are on a reality show, like us, sometimes as bloggers, we may see a clip and we run with it, and we doing a video on that clip, right? But you, as a personality on a reality TV show, and you know how messy clips can be from bloggers, because she claimed she got it from a blogger. Okay. You know how messy that could be by having a clip. You wouldn't go to Candace Instagram and see the whole live. Because you want to say, because I know Robyn knew that she said something good about her. But again, Robyn told on herself. She
But
said,
at
I
what
was
point
mad
did we
at her at the time, and the ba. Emmanuel, what do you want to add?
Really quickly before we move on, this is why I can't fully trust Candace, because of like she still said that Robyn was loyal to her. But going back to Giselle, I was having a little compassion for her about what she was going, the little emotional part that she got. But after her saying that she didn't care what happened to Wendy because she didn't like her, that was so disgusting. You know what? Any compassion that I had for her left. And you know what, Giselle? When you were in that hospital and you had to spend the night, you're probably alone because of the behavior that you have been doing for years and years, because you're bitter and you're horrible. And that is what is wrong in this world, to look the other way because you don't like someone and you're allowing something that it it made me so mad when she said that. Now, another thing that I did not like was Andy telling Ashley, "Oh, you seem to have changed your mind regarding violence." Why couldn't we just acknowledge that Ashley was the only one in Miami who actually cared about Wendy and was being thoughtful of where she was at a hotel room by herself? And another thing, Candace, every time someone mentions Monique, you gotta say something. Stop. Did you hear that part when they was talking about Monique and she was like, "Oh yeah, Monique."
Yep.
Monique was right about a lot of things, and
That's right.
it's all playing out right now. Y'all should have
Mhm.
listened to her because she was showing you guys the root of what was going on, and now we're
That's
seeing
right.
it. The plan of it. So Giselle is horrible, and you said, Diva, that she's like kind of crossing like Lisa Rinna. I think she's worse than Lisa Rinna, because Lisa Rinna went after people's reputations and she was a clown. She was doing anything for attention. Giselle is evil. She does it from an evil place, going after someone's husband and all these things. These are real issues that she's wanting to affect these people. So I think she is much worse. Now, really quickly, Wendy, look, believe it or not, some people can forgive and not hold resentment. She truly forgave Mia. Now, what happened? Come reunion, Mia is doubling down instead of, saying, well, I was wrong. So that angered Wendy. That triggered something in her, which is why she said, what you did was effed up, not just to her, but to Robyn and to Giselle. And I disagree that Wendy is like Candace, because unlike Candace, Wendy has read them all for filth. That was all.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, but hold on one second. And Trent, I appreciate you. Now, every now and then, we don't always come on the same page, and we're not always on the same train. But right now, we're in the same car. Monique was the wrong messenger, point blank.
Was she really?
Point
Yes, she
blank.
was.
In my opinion, she was. But I want to get to this colorist conversation. You said a mouthful, Emmanuel. But the thing is, I'm gonna leave it alone because we got to get to this colorist conversation because y'all gonna have me on here all night, and I'm not about to do that. Okay.
And heads are about to roll, Diva, just so you know.
Colorist conversation. Listen, I know everybody gets passionate. I want to hear from everybody. I'm going to start from the top after I give my words, and just hold on so we can hear people, and I will get to you. Okay. So I want to say this about the colorist conversation. They tried it. They had an epic fail, and everybody was sending me messages. Listen to Carlos, listen to Carlos, listen to Carlos. Carlos King, he's another one he's the wrong messenger also, because he's another one. He's a disgruntled employee. And I just feel like, Carlos King is, I don't know if he's always doing it for the right reasons, or is he still doing it to just poke at Andy Cohen? And my thing is, if you were so dead set on a right conversation happening, instead of that, because you are a producer, and you can go about this in a different route because Carlos King has more connections than any of us do. Instead of you ranting on the YouTube about it, he could have went behind the scenes, touched into some certain people and said, hey, Andy, hey, the producers over there, y'all tried it. That 2 minutes wasn't good enough. Why not have another conversation yet again, and may have a platform and have the right people there to have the conversation? So this is just my opinion. I'm about to give you my opinion on that conversation that happened. They tried it. But to me, it's like going to the person who committed the crime and saying to them, hey, how much time do you think you should get? Should you get 2 months? Should we give you 3 months? Or should you get a year? Because you are the only one that are qualified, since it's you, to determine how much time you should get. So a lot of people, they have this whole conversation, because I'm not white, or because I'm not this, and because I'm not that, I can't facilitate or have a conversation about this situation. I wholeheartedly believe that is not so. When people go to therapy, they don't say, you know what? I need a Black therapist that was perhaps, went through the same situations I went through, and they're the only person in this world that would be able to have this conversation and help me heal. It's the nonsense for me, okay? So my thing is, they should have called in another person, because another person would have helped them understand what the problem was and what was going on. The neutral person could have said, this is the definition of colorism. And I watched all the footage, because the person should have watched some footage, okay? And said, I watched the footage, and these are some of the scenes where I believe the audience could have viewed this as colorism. And then talk to each person and say, can you see and understand how when you do this, it represents that? They brought up some key issues. Candace tried it. But because they didn't have a neutral mediator there to pull that thing together, it was thrown out, it hit the floor, and it was gone. So Candace said, why is it when I do XYZ, I'm looked upon as XYZ, but this one over here does the same thing, and she's not getting called those same names? Okay? Very valid point. But that just went out the mouth, and it fell on the floor. Nobody picked it up. Giselle sat there and acted like she was clueless. Clueless. She's like, I don't get it. What's going on here? I don't get it. Now, one thing I connected to what Candace said was, right, and I could understand this. She said, I don't feel anyone on this cast, okay, anyone on this cast is colorist. And I understood that. And I'm going to tell you why I understood that. When you work with people closely, every moment is not horrific. They're editing because we have got accustomed to drama. That's what we watch for if we want to keep it 100. So when the editors edit it, they edit and show us probably some of their worst moments. But do I think that represents everything that these ladies go through? No. Do I think that these ladies have a lot of fun moments together? Yes. Do I think, in some way, shape, or form that they do care about each other? They do feel that there's some friendships there? Absolutely. Yes, I do. So what happened was, I think Candace is saying that because she's connecting to the better side in all of the ladies. But unfortunately, when the things get chopped up and shown on the air, we're seeing the worst side of all of the ladies, right? Thank you, Tiff, for the super chat. Another great recap, another great recap. Thank you so much. So that's why I think Candace's comment came out. But it was an epic fail because they needed a mediator, they needed a moderator, and they needed somebody who had extensive study in this particular area that was being talked about, versus them just trying to say, hey, we all spoke to y'all and this is what y'all wanted. It's not what they want, it's what's best for the situation. Thank you for the super chat. Robyn and Giselle are always confused when they are caught. Come on, you say a word right there. Amen. Always when they're caught, it's like, huh? What you talking about? I'm trying to explain it. I don't get it. We don't want to talk about this no more. Let's move on. Okay. Giselle said something so insensitive and ridiculous. She was like, oh, I'm glad we're moving on from this conversation. It was a mess. But like I said, they tried it. Trent, thank you for the super chat. Let's not act like what is that? GEBS.
Green Eye Bandits.
Or the Green Eye Barons are called aren't called the worst names.
Why?
So what I want to say to y'all is, we gotta, when we have this conversation, let's expand our minds in the sense that because I say one thing doesn't mean that I don't believe the other thing, the opposite. I think everybody plays a role in this situation, but clearly, if we don't want to call it colorism, fine. Clearly, though, the darker skinned ladies that have been on this show, they get the raw end of the stick, period. I do not like Monique, but she got the raw end of the stick. Mm-hmm. Candace, the raw end of the stick. Mm-hmm. Wendy, the wrong end of the stick. Point blank, period. It just so happens that all the ladies that have a darker hue in their skin always get the wrong end of the stick. They always are active like they did. Everything they did is the worst. They need counseling. They need anger management. They need this. Wendy, y'all talked about her husband having a whole baby and all of this, and they laughed and hoo-hooed about it. They wanted to say that Monique, the husband had the baby wasn't his, and they ha-ha kikied about it. So my thing is that the conversation, at the very least, it should have been a neutral person with some education on this particular topic that moderated and sat there and held this conversation so that the ladies wouldn't be allowed to sit there and act like they didn't know what went on and what they presented to us before the screen. I'm going to stop at the top here. I will come around to everybody. Robyn, what are your thoughts on this colorism conversation?
Well, Diva, you introduced this by saying that they tried to have a conversation.
Uh-huh.
With that, I will say there is no such thing as trying. You either do or you don't. And they did not. Period. Yeah. It was clear based on both of these parts of the reunion that the Bravo folks have been listening to the YouTube streets and the social media because, in my opinion, they've sought to address those issues. I don't believe that they were honest or earnest when they brought up colorism. It was performative. It was insufficient. It was a matter to placate the masses. Bravo continues to pander in and actually to revel in disruptive, dishonest, and poor behavior as relates to race matters. If they were about it, they would have insisted on having a not just a third party neutral, but a third party neutral who is expert
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
subject matter that we are discussing. This was just again performative. They just wanted to gloss this over and say we tried it. And the fact that Candace I mean, you're right. She could not start. Neither of the women on the panel should speak and lead the discussion, because besides them not being authorities outside of their own lived experiences,
Mm-hmm.
they're in conflict. So that was inappropriate. And I just think that I will not, I'm not looking to Bravo, the network, or anyone associated with it in its production
Mm-hmm.
to be honest members of society interested in peace or harmony or education.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Thank you. Smoke, your thoughts?
Well, I just find it very interesting that Robyn and Giselle has such a intellectual discourse trying to come to terms with the topic when their very first season they were trying to vilify and crucify Katie Ross and the fact of how she
Come
was talking
on.
about black was about her biracial identity and how
Facts.
she wanted to give air to both her black side and her Jewish side. So
Facts.
either you don't understand the topic or you just pick and choose when it's convenient for you because literally you would not let it go. And KB rightfully so called them dumb and dumber because so clearly you understand the topic. So it's just the fact that they've done so much and put themselves in hot water that now they're like, wait a minute, we don't know what you're talking about. And to be honest, there is a difference. Someone actually put in the chat, there's a difference with Wendy, Candace, and Wendy, Candace, and Monique. They are vilified for their behavior, whether they have an outburst or whether they look like they're getting a physical altercation. But Robyn, who has been to Ashley's restaurant, putting her finger ready to start a fight, going up to Monique, starting an umbrella. And apparently, from what I hear, allegedly, anytime something comes up about Robyn that she doesn't like, she goes off behind the scenes on the producers. So Robyn has an established history and pattern of violence throughout this topic. But if you look at the differential treatment between her and the other women who are of a darker or brown hue, they are not the same whatsoever. So if we really want to, if we're really going to have equal playing field on everybody, then everybody should be treated differently. There should be no reason that Giselle should pick and choose that because she doesn't like Wendy, it was okay for what Mia did to her. No, if you are violent, you are violent. Even if I don't like you, I'm still going to call you out. And that speaks to your moral compass as a person and who you really are, that you're willing to turn a blind eye because you have a disagreement with someone instead of doing what's right. So I believe these women are fully intelligent and they understand this colorism, but clearly they only do it when it's beneficial for them and their narrative and what they want them to be seen as in the story they want to put out there. I yield back my time.
Thank you. Michelle, thank you for the super chat. Agree 100%, Diva and Robyn. Come on. Emmanuel, your thoughts on the colorism conversation.
Thank you. You know, when I was watching it I was watching it live, right, on real time. So my first thought was, oh, I'm glad that they at least acknowledged it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, the more I thought about it, I said, really? Their solution to the problem was for them to talk to themselves? Really? Talk amongst yourselves? I totally agree. There should have been an expert, somebody, a third party who was, not on anybody's side and tied it specifically. Colorism has been a topic in this show for a long time, but let's not forget what broke the camel's back. It was Mia and Wendy's situation. There was a dark-skinned woman in this show who got into an altercation and she was villainized. There were people bringing security guards saying they didn't want to be around her. Now, a light lady threw a drink, threw a purse, lunched, but not only was she not held accountable, some of them women went to go check on her. And then they put the blame on the one who was attacked, who happened to be dark. And not only that, let's not forget another component. Wendy is also African. So that even adds another thing to it. You tell me it's not about colorism.
You know what, Emmanuel? You're speaking Facts. You're speaking facts, okay? I love it. I loved how you broke that down. I'm not going to run my mouth because I want to give everybody else a chance to say something, but you spoke facts. You spoke facts, okay? Giselle brought a whole bodyguard,
Mm-hmm.
a whole bodyguard, because she was so afraid of Chris. Obi, your thoughts?
So you know how they define colorism? They said it's prejudice or discrimination against individuals with dark stone, typically within the same ethnic group. But then if you're looking at the definition of a colorist, it's somebody who is prejudiced against these people. So I feel like for you to actually say this person is a colorist is subjective. And I don't think you can really know except you know deep what is in the person's mind. So I feel like instead of going by, okay, this person is a colorist, this person is a colorist, I feel like we should be going by the actions that actually define colorism. So even if you don't think you're a colorist in your mind, that's what I believe, you could still be practicing colorism without even knowing. That's what I think. So like Karen said, I felt like Karen actually made the most sense in the discussion. You actually have to actively look at your actions and judge yourself to see if these actions align with what is being talked about. So I believe that there are a lot of instances and situations on this show where colorism was practiced, probably not knowingly, but it was still practiced, just like Emmanuel said. A black woman got into an altercation and she was singled out, and everybody took the light-skinned woman's side. So many other, like even the examples that the example that Candice gave, although I thought it was kind of more personal to her, it's still an example. Robyn is being addressed as somebody, so nobody is addressing Robyn as somebody who is aggressive because she's light skinned. But then her actions align with somebody who is aggressive. She's standing up, she's screaming, she's walking towards the person. But then the dark skinned woman who is being very vocal and very, open about what she's saying is deemed who is aggressive. Then also, I want to mention that this discussion of colorism is not just going to be based on the cast. I feel like even us, the viewers and the fans, some of us actually practice this colorism without even knowing. Well, some even know, some without knowing, because we place some people in the cast on a pedestal, and then we do this, we do the exact opposite to the people who are of darker complexion. So that's all I wanted to just bring out.
Thank you, Obi. But see, here's the thing: in order to realize what your behavior is, you would have to have some type of self-awareness, right? What self-awareness does Giselle have? Period. Like some are, and even Robyn, right? Because
Actually, if you
Robyn
ask me, the people I
contradicted.
really believe are the colorists in this cast, because I feel like some people practice colorism without even knowing, but there are people that I feel truly in their hearts are colorists. And if you ask me who they are, it's Giselle and Robyn. So yeah, she needs to have some self-awareness. But I was just saying that, like, sometimes I feel like sometimes we try to move away from labeling, right? Because nobody wants to be labeled as a colorist. But I think if we start moving away from the mindset of, okay, trying to point to this person like, you're not a colorist, you're not a colorist. Like when he asked that question, do you personally think people are colorists in this group? I don't think no was the right answer. Sorry, because the answer was no, right? I don't think that's the right answer. What I would have said is, well, I don't know if anybody here is a colorist, but these are the instances where colorism was practiced. So it's up to you to decide if this person is a colorist or not. But I feel like it's the action that we're supposed to be speaking about. And like you're talking, like you said, self-reflection. But I still feel like we have to base it on the actions. Because if you're actively practicing something that is going to be deemed to as colorism to another person, then if somebody is looking at it from the outside, they're going to say you're a colorist because this is what was practiced. This is what was actually done. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Nobody
I
wants to be
understand.
labeled a colorist.
Let me
Nobody
let
wants to be
somebody
labeled
else.
a colorist, but you could actually be practicing colorism without
No, I
wanting to
understand
be
what you're
labeled
saying. Let me
a
let
colorist.
somebody else in. Catherine, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Obi, for your words. Hold on one second. Let me just let other people in. Candy, what are your thoughts?
I don't think that they were serious about this whole situation at all. I really don't. And I think even I hate to say it, I think even Wendy and Candace weren't really serious about
Come
this.
on. It's facts.
Because I feel like if they were really serious, they would have been like adamant about bringing a third party in to discuss the whole situation.
Facts.
Basically. And I think that even though Candace tried her best to, to give a definition and to try to quote unquote grill him, it's like you can't grill. It's like you being in a therapy session and you need help, but you're playing a therapist.
Come on, Candy. Thank you. Talk.
It's not, and to me, I feel like Andy didn't push it because he didn't want to share the spotlight with anybody. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want, because if they had a true, real dialogue, then Robyn and Giselle would have been roasted.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they didn't want it. I think Wendy and Candace weren't that serious about it, weren't going to push it. And I think Andy didn't want to share the spotlight. Therefore, we had this superficial, basically waste of time discussion, which basically made a lot of people upset because like you didn't really do anything.
It was a wasted moment. It was a wasted moment and a disservice to the people and the viewers. If you're going to do the darn thing, then you do it. And when does the employees get to decide how something's going to be settled?
Exactly. And to me, it just shows, and to me, this is also another example of this, unfortunately, colorist light skin privilege. They don't have to deal with it. Right. Because for this to be such a major topic or such a frustrating topic for so many people, and you treat it like you treated it, that's not fair. That's not fair to the fans.
And it was, you know what, let's be clear too. It probably wasn't even fair to ask that question of the cast when the two dark-skinned ones are outnumbered.
Yeah.
It wasn't even fair to them, right? No, because if we're the only two that are deciding to have this person come in, again, we're setting ourselves up for the firing range. Because it's like, here they'll go, these two, they're disrupting the cast. They want to bring this heated conversation to the floor, right? So it should have been neutral to say that I don't have to ask any of y'all who I'm bringing in. I would have told them I'm bringing in this person. Now, y'all can look at, give me a minute, I'm going to let you back in. I would be like, here's the 5 people. Now, y'all could pick which one y'all may want. I'll let you do that. But somebody's coming. So here's the 5 people. Here's all their credentials. This is what we know about them. Which one of these 5 do you want? Place your vote anonymously, and then you're going to see that day who's going to show up. But I'm not going to leave it up to you. But go ahead. What was you trying to say?
Can you imagine like somebody like a Iyanla Vanzant coming in?
She's so dramatic. Listen, I love Iyanla.
But it would have been amazing. And then one more thing about the whole colorist thing is that a lot of these quote-unquote green-eyed bandits have very brown-skinned, dark-skinned kids. And if they don't know, and for them to not know what colorism is when they're raising dark-skinned kids, to me, it just infuriates me. It just makes me so mad. Like you're playing so stupid, and you're raising brown-skinned, dark-skinned children.
You know what, though? I think that they do know. I think they just didn't want to address it, because if they would have addressed it, they would have had to admit that some of their behavior is deplorable, and they wasn't about to do that, right?
But I know they was dealing with it.
Well, yeah. Once again, it was about saving the ones that wanted to be saved, but the real saving was for Giselle. But for her to actually say, "I can't stand you. I don't like you. That's why I didn't care if you got beat up," I think it's messy. But E, what are your thoughts on this colorism conversation?
So my thoughts are going to be as deep as the conversation went. So Giselle bringing a bodyguard, I heard someone say earlier. Mm-hmm. Giselle brought a bodyguard for Monique because she didn't like Monique. I mean, for Chris, she didn't like Monique and Chris. Giselle didn't rush to Wendy's defense after Mia threw the drink because Giselle doesn't like Mia. I mean, just doesn't like Wendy. So we can call it poor character, but if we're going to call it colorism and we're going to agree with what Candace's definition, I mean, not Candace's, Karen's definition was, then I have to base it on how these people feel. Listen, if we don't like you, we don't like you. And we saw this with Portia and Kenya. Remember when Portia attacked Kenya? Kenya was the victim and everyone scurried to Portia's side. Everyone scurried to Portia's side because they liked Portia more, and all of those women were the same color. We can't call it colorism in Atlanta. We have to call it favoritism because that's what it was. We champion for our favorites, and that's typical. If Wendy was light-skinned, I still wouldn't like Wendy. It's not her skin tone. It's not her eye color. It's her personality. If it wasn't If it was about skin tone, then I would like Ashley. I don't. If it was about skin tone, I would like Robyn and Giselle. I don't. How come it's okay for me to dislike Robyn, Giselle, and Ashley, but because I don't like Wendy and Candace, then it must be colorism? No, we just don't like you, and sometimes that's okay. It has nothing to do with your eye color or skin tone. You're just unlikable. And it's not just those two. The viewers as a whole have described this entire cast as unlikable. The only two that keep throwing a fit about it are Candace and Wendy. And I don't need Coretta Scott King to come down and mediate the discussion because with a discussion without consequences, it's futile to me. What's the discussion going to do if you're not prepared to say, I am better than this, my family, my husband, and my kids deserve better than this, and I bow out gracefully, keep your Bravo money? Then what's the purpose of this conversation? And one last thing, the reason I refuse to jump on this colorism car of this train is because Candace sat right there across from Wendy and said it wasn't colorism. There is no colorism going on, and Wendy didn't disagree. So when that happened, it was clear to me they were all gaslighting the viewers. That's what they were doing.
Wait, when did she say that? Can I ask that? When did she say that?
She did. Candace started out and said she didn't feel any of her castmates participate in colorism. She did. And so when I heard that from Candace and Wendy did not oppose it, I knew then, okay, because Wendy, she should have been the loudest one speaking up, because on Instagram, she stirred up all of this controversy. And I'm using air quotes, these dog whistles, okay, just to say that you were experiencing unfair treatment, and then to sit on that couch and say, oh, no, that's not what it was. And then Karen says to the light-skinned women, if you don't know what colorism is, listen to how the dark-skinned women feel. But then they doubled down again and said it's not colorism after riling up the audience. You let the viewers run with this narrative for 5 months just to sit there and say nothing, okay? Why well, you know what, E? I'm going to give this to you. You make a very good point, and you are correct. Candace clearly came out at the top of the conversation and said she felt none of them.
That's right.
None of them were participating in colorism. She said it out of her own mouth. And as I'm listening to you, you are correct again. Wendy did not deny it or whatever either, or say yes they are. So why should we be in an uproar if the people who it's impacting the most are saying, listen, it ain't what you thought it was?
Diva, someone actually explains it in the chat. Esha S. She said they were not colorists, not that they didn't participate in colorist activity. There's a difference.
Well, you know what? But see, here's the thing, though. Either way, though, here's the thing, though, Smoke. You have the opportunity to clear that thing up and to make yourself clear, and you don't do it. Then what do you want us to do? But if you are a doctor, hold on one second. See, this is where people are going to think I don't like Wendy. I do. But the most person who could have had the most clearest, articulate words in this situation would have been Dr. Wendy. So if Dr. Wendy did not, when she had the opportunity to come out out of her own mouth and say, hey, you know what? Then what do you want us to do as the viewers?
Diva, this is what I'm going to say to that. Diva, she articulated herself earlier about the situation with Mia and how she felt. Well, she didn't say everybody, but I'm just saying, paraphrasing, how people failed her or they didn't react in a way that was adjacent to what happened when Monique and Candace had a scuffle. She was vulnerable in that moment. She was said what she did, and what happened? Giselle's like, I don't like you, so you don't deserve it. So you expect that same person to speak up on a conversation after
saying somebody's colorist.
But it's rooted in that thing of turning a blind eye is rooted in colorism.
Words, but Monique is dark skinned too.
That's right. And if you look at my avatar, you see what Wendy is doing to the people she accused on Instagram of being colorist. She's hugging them.
Before she watched the show, before she finished the show.
Even if you don't need to watch the show on television to understand. Well, let me get it out. But I'm saying for Wendy, Wendy doesn't need to watch the show back if she lived it and she was present in the moment as a doctor.
So she saw the professionals do.
Wait a minute. Don't tell me. Don't
Well,
tell
yes,
me you
yeah.
have 4 degrees, but then you're going to
She
tell me
do.
somebody threw a drink on you and nobody
They
came to
did.
your defense, and you had to wait until you
Yeah.
saw it on television 6 months later to say, you know what? Oh my gosh, they're
But
colorists.
but
They didn't
that's
come
not
to
the
my
issue. It's the
defense.
stuff
They
with
No,
did.
even
no.
in
Okay,
in
wait.
the
What she said on
confessional, that was the
television.
problem as
Because I want to
well.
get it here, everybody. Hold on 1 second. So, somebody said, Shawana said Monique is in dark skin. I see. Here's the other thing too with this dark skin, light skin, brown skin. I don't. People put it in categories. I make it simple. I think there's light skin and there's dark skin or there's brown skin, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know what is all this in between. Are you cocoa? Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to me.
But
Like,
you, but yeah,
like,
but
like
okay,
it's
can
just
I, I
silliness
was
to
going to
me.
say this. I
Either
have
you
to say,
like. Wait, I'm gonna
yeah.
let you in, Mel. 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
Either to me, you're light skin or you dark skin or you brown skin, right? But I
Mhm.
think there is a clear line, right? And so Monique may not be dark skin, I guess, but she is of a darker hue and
Mm.
Exactly.
than the other ladies, right? And
Yes.
so and Candace is of a darker hue, and then Wendy is out of the cast, right? She may be a little bit browner than the rest, but even myself, I'm brown skin, I'm dark skin. I mean, the thing is, right, when you have the opportunity to speak up, you got to speak up. You can't tell me, let's forget about this situation. Let's take a regular job situation, right? I can't be on the job going to HR saying person A is doing me dirty, but then I come sit back down in my seat. I'm bringing them coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks. I'm kissing, I'm hugging on them. Now, I'm not saying I got to be nasty to them, but I am saying I'm not about to bring you Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, chicken, biscuits, and all of that, and then I'm in HR telling them you doing me dirty. Which one is it? You he say, pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. Which one you doing? So you send mixed messages when 1 minute you want to be on your social media telling us to get up in an uproar, get our size,
Right.
colorism is going on here. But then
Yep.
when you have the opportunity yourself to explain it, to address it, you're lackadaisic about it. You're sitting there. So
Pick
don't
me.
have me getting in an uproar and then I show up to the event and you like, it's all over. We good. I'm good with them now. That's too much. Hold on 1 second. Thank you for the super chat. We got to fix this, y'all. If we get nothing else right in our lifetime, we got to call it out. The legacy of slavery. This is painful. I get what you're saying, right? It is the legacy of slavery because and many other panels that have been listening today, they said it, right? Listen, we got to be clear. A thing is a thing. In slavery, and definitely in the movies that they showed us about slavery, normally who was outside picking the cotton was me. Okay, I was out there picking the cotton. I wasn't in the house. And who was in the house were mostly the lighter versions. Okay, they got treated a little bit differently. Not saying much better, but they got treated a little bit differently. And then if you did see, maybe the browner ones in the house, they might have got to be the nanny or whatever. But for the most part, it was the difference who was out there picking and who got the work inside the house. Okay. Let me just read this super chat. Paper bag test. Yeah. And you know what I want to say, right? I'm the color of the paper bag. You got to be lighter than the paper bag. I mean, it is what it is. Who else wants to add to this conversation?
Me, I didn't say
I
anything
do.
yet.
I
I
didn't.
didn't talk
I
yet.
didn't go
And
yet.
Okay, I got it, everybody. So now I'm gonna go to first. I'm gonna go to Essence, and then I'm gonna go to Ali.
Okay.
Go ahead
Thank you,
now.
thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So for me, I just think that we live in a different
Okay.
time in 2023. That we didn't live in. So I think that when Giselle and Robyn were coming up, we live in different times. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in those times too. Now I wasn't going out there calling people and doing crazy things, but I keep saying people need to watch School Days. It really gives a perfect depiction about what we're talking about. We're talking about people in college. We're talking about people with natural hair and people with processed hair, light skin, dark skin. It shows it right there in that picture. So for me, I think on this panel a couple of months ago, I said, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to label people colorists, but I do have questions and concerns. And my questions and concerns when I answered at that reunion, how about that? I want to say also that I think that Andy dropped the ball. And I think that Bravo dropped the ball because things weren't really happening. I don't blame the ladies. The ladies did the best that they could do because they are not hosts of the shows. They are actually participants on the cast. if they're not really professional interviewers. I mean, I think that Wendy, of course, do beautiful commentary, but when it comes to really tackling this and grilling people and stuff like that, you need somebody who's skilled to do that. So I think that when you get a question or something happens to you that you're not really being perfect in that moment about, it's not your problem. I think it's Bravo's problem from actually not getting somebody up there to really do the real job. They dropped the ball, in my opinion. Um, I think that when it comes to, I think that Karen really hit on something about, she owned up a little bit to what listen, I don't want to go too deep, but my family and other things, listen, back in different times, people talk different ways. And, Karen was kind of tipping that iceberg. She was telling some truth there that she had to own that, yeah, people talk about people's hair. They talked about, is your skin clean? There's some things we all, as Black people or brown people, kind of probably heard this language. So I think that Giselle and Robinson up there acting like they never heard that was disgusting to me because I just think that that was the biggest lie, that they didn't know that this kind of language happens in our community, and that maybe there may be a bias inside them, conscious or unconscious, that's happening when it comes to the friendships with the light skinned ladies and also the dark skinned ladies. I'm not saying that they're deliberately sitting around saying because they are dark, we want to isolate them out. But I think it might be unconscious. It might be something that's a bias with them that they have to work on. And I think that they needed a professional interviewer and a professional person there who knew what they were doing to really have that conversation. So that 2 minutes was just like a wash. Nothing happened. And I don't blame Candace and I don't blame Wendy. They weren't there to interview the cast. They were there to tell a experience. When it comes to Wendy, I think that I think that, yeah, you do have issues with your coworkers and your schoolmates and stuff like that. And for me personally, I'm not a person going to hold a grudge for years. People may say something crazy and I'm like, oh, damn, we have a blow up and I get past it. It happens. But if you're watching the show a couple of months later, you go, well, damn, they got me together in this interview. They doing the most in this thing. They were really sympathetic about this. They enjoyed when I got my ass, when I got my butt whipped. I'm going to have some things to talk about when I get to that reunion. I really will have some things to talk about. Now, if I'm there in front of you and you lying to my face, I actually don't think that the fakeness is on Wendy. I think the fakeness is on Mia, Robyn, and Giselle. They were being fake to Wendy for the whole season. So she saw what they were doing. She gets to the reunion. She's like, oh, okay, well, this is what's happening. Well, that's just my opinion. Whatever was happening that made Wendy feel that these women weren't as evil as they kind of came off on the show this year, that wasn't her fault. She's not a mind reader. She's not a psychic. She can only watch the show and then she can react when she gets to the reunion. Again, I don't think that she's a professional interviewer, so she didn't have to go deep diving and grilling people like Barbara Walters. And I don't think she's a psychic. That's just that's why I come from that. But I wanted to say that because I have to go.
All right, well, Mel, you
Okay.
go. We'll see you next time. But let me say this:
They
they
missed
all do their dirt, right? They all lie because Wendy. Let's be clear. She sat there and lied when she said that she didn't. She called me a liar about her illness. So let's be clear. They all do the same things on different degrees and different levels, right? And we also got to be clear: is they were asked, "What do you want us to do?" So if you know that you're not on the professional level and you can't handle this conversation, you be smart and you say, you know what, just so we can be fair, let's bring in somebody neutral to help discuss this situation. I'm coming to you two ladies. Hi, Vibe. Thank you for the super chat. Wendy should have really spoken about colorism as an African woman and all the issues with skin bleaching in Nigeria and other countries. The conversation could have been better, but because they all have a lot going on, one is their job, two, they don't want to sever the friendships too much because they want to come back and have another season, and you got to film with somebody. But that was all the more reason to bring in thank you, Hava, for the super chat. That was all the more reason to bring in a neutral person. So then when it's all said and done, you can't blame it on me. The moderator asked you these questions and brought this up and pointed things out. The Don, thank you. You said, when did we start hold the victims accountable? That's what, well, right. I don't think that Wendy and Candace should have held the conversation, but they themselves, along with the rest of the cast, agreed that they would have the conversation. So it's like, what are you going to do? Y'all the one said this is the way y'all wanted this thing to go down. Okay, I don't want to be on here all night. Hold on, I'll come back. Oh, let me give Essence and Ali a chance to speak. Go ahead, Essence, and then go ahead, Essence. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I have 2.5 points. The first point I want to say is that for there to be several members that graduated from HBCUs, to particularly Giselle, to pretend to be ignorant, I feel like, is disgusting. And I think that she should be penalized by the group that she belongs to. I'm not trying to be messy, but I really think that she's, doing them a disservice. How can you be a graduate at an
What
HBCU?
group?
Don't let's not do that here. Let's
I'm
not
not
do that here. I know
discussing.
what she's talking about, but go ahead. Go ahead, Essence. Finish.
And I'm not being disrespectful, but Giselle is guilty of misogynoir, meaning she's showing anti-blackness against women. And I feel like when it comes to purposefully being ignorant on a topic that I know you are well aware of, not saying you're participating in it, but just well aware of, that speaks volumes about you, and it looks terrible on the group that you belong to, in my opinion. Secondly, Bravo has a show called Family Karma, which is surrounding Indian culture. I 100% believe that if colorism was a storyline for that show and they had reunions, that it would have been handled a lot differently. So I do hold the entire cast accountable for the way that it happened. I feel like, Andy did not have to do anything. He gave them an open forum, and they didn't really educate, and they really just didn't do anything with that moment at all. And I blame them. I blame all of them. The only person I feel like did anything was Karen. So I think Giselle's a disgusting person. She showed who she is several times, not once, not two, not three, but several times. And I hope she gets penalized. I really do. I hope she gets penalized, because that's the only way she's gonna really feel the fact that she is an issue.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Allie, I hope I'm saying your name right. You're up next.
I just wanted to point out that
You're a little low.
is this better?
Yeah, that's much better.
All right. I wanted to point out that Candace did vote for a moderator. It's just the
Mm.
other women voted her down. But
Mm.
which makes me side eye Wendy a little bit more. But anyway.
Mm.
but but
Mm.
honestly, I don't think we'll ever get a real conversation on colorism, be it on this show or in the real world, because let's keep it real. People with privilege don't want, well, people with privilege usually turn a blind eye when it comes to these isms, be it racism or colorism. You can tell because they all use the same talking points. You see, a racist will say, racism doesn't exist. A colorist would say, colorism doesn't exist. A racist will say, well, what about reverse racism? A colorist would say, what about reverse colorism?
Well, you preaching, my
You
sister.
know, so
Thank
when
you.
Denial.
we get to the when these people recognize that they have a privilege, be it through the color of their skin, be it them being or their race, then we can have this open conversation on colorism. Until then, this is just nothing but a joke, and people are just
Right.
playing in our faces.
Well, you know what? Amen. Amen. I also like to say to you is amen. You are right. It's a distraction technique, right? Preach. They say good points. Come on now. We can't. So the minute we say it is this, it's like, well, y'all treat us bad too, right? All I can say is amen. I don't even want to mess up your words. They saying you got excellent points. They're telling you so true. They telling you to preach. You said a word. You brought this conversation to a good close. It's like, we us ignoring it doesn't make it go away. Smoke, what did you want to say?
Actually, no, that was going to be my point about like the fact that they said that the women agreed. I think they were outvoted, but how do we know that Dr. Wendy didn't vote with Candace?
I don't know what
Candace
the
said in her
It
tweet that
doesn't
she was the
matter.
only one that voted.
Oh,
Oh,
she
It
Candace said
doesn't
it?
yeah, she said
matter
it.
though.
She said that she was the only one.
Oh.
And so
Moderator or
now,
not, I just want to say this: moderator or not, like Wendy, your profession is commentating. That's what you do for a living. So
Speak, Essence.
you mean to tell me that you couldn't insert more points to really show that Giselle is full of crap? Like, and my thing is like, I really feel like Candace and Wendy are pick me's. I really sincerely feel like that. Not saying that colorism. I very much believe that Giselle's a colorist. I don't care what anybody says. However, I do feel like Candice and Wendy are not 100% victimized because they
Yes.
allowed themselves to be bullied. There's a difference between bullying and colorism. I feel like what Giselle did with Monique was a little bit of colorism. Like she tried to
Yes.
diminish her and make her feel like she couldn't be a part of the group for no reason.
Oh no, she
Right.
was wait, hold on, Essence. It was reason. She was jealous of Monique, the one that Monique came up there and said she had 2 houses or 4 houses or whatever
Because
she
she felt
said.
like she shouldn't be able to have it based on what reason, what merit,
Well, no,
what
I don't know. Listen. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things going on, and that mixture is having us cross lines and trying to decide what exactly it is, right?
Right.
So I think at the beginning of that, I don't think from the door is colorism. I don't think that Giselle and Robyn just have issues with people of darker hue skin. Period. I don't think it's that. I think these ladies, and that's why it's hard to put a really finger on it. I think that Giselle and Robyn, they got issues with people that truly have husbands that love them. This is just me thinking this, right?
No, I'm
They
with you.
got issues where these they actually have homes. These people are actually housewives
But
that
it's
have men that actually love them and care about them, and they will tear down these relationships by any means necessary.
but it's
Outside,
rooted from
but yeah,
something.
but I don't know if it all is right. So outside of them having Dr. Hugh skin, they all have husbands. Monique had a husband. Okay, well, she has a
That's right.
husband. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mess up. I don't mean to mess up, Monique. I'm sorry. Monique has her husband. Wendy has her husband, and Candace has her husband. And all of these husbands are not aggressive men that have treated these ladies unkindly. These are all friendly
Like,
men. Chris is a
mhm.
teddy bear. Okay. And Giselle wanted to act like because this man got upset and he got reasonably upset because you're saying that my kid is not mine. You're trying to tear down my family. Yeah, he's going to get mad. I don't know any person or man that would not get mad over that, right? So now all of a sudden, you all of a sudden don't trust this man and you need a bodyguard. That's how afraid you are of him, right? So
Right.
that was Monique. Now you got Candace. He has cooked for y'all. He has always been kind to y'all. He has kiki and hot with y'all. Now
Mhm.
all of a sudden he wants to talk to you, and it's not like he hasn't talked to Giselle before, right? They
Right.
always had conversations, but now all of a sudden he want to have a conversation with you, and it's in the room, and you're all of a sudden uncomfortable. It just doesn't make sense, Or I got more than one of my girlfriends are married, and I know their husbands, and I'm not just gonna wake up and say all of a sudden I'm uncomfortable. Like, come on now, that just doesn't make sense, right? And then you have Wendy. They wanted to tear down and all from the blogs. So Giselle and all of them, they can't stand the blogs, but when they want to tear one of their castmates down, they always say the information came from the blogs. What did they say about Monique and the baby from the blogs? What did they say about Eddie and this
Okay,
person
Diva, can
he
I?
posted it? The blog. I'm gonna let you in, Essence. The
Mhm.
blogs. Well, and it's just a mess. What did they say? They got that piece of information that they played at the table about Candace from the blogs. Go ahead, Essence. What did you want to say?
I just want to point out this: when it came to season 6 and Wendy got her mommy makeover, the way they felt about her looks, in my opinion, is what gave me colorist vibes. They couldn't look at Wendy and accept the fact that she was beautiful, in my opinion. They couldn't take it. And for me, it really stems from what she looked like that whole entire season, and to the point where they needed to find something to tear her down about, which just so happened to be her marriage. So for me, the root has always been Wendy's looks. Monique, from the moment Giselle saw
Essence,
Monique,
let me add this in there with you. I'm not gonna, those are your feelings. I'm not gonna discount them. But see, the other problem is though, Wendy had the issues with her own looks too.
That's right. And can I ask a question?
But go ahead,
Because
let me let Essence finish real quick. Then I'm gonna come to you, E, and then we got the closeout. Captain,
okay,
thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. Go ahead, finish your thought process, Essence.
I just want to say this: like, I'm not ever gonna ignore the undertones of Giselle. She has an undertone of colorism. And if it was just mean girlism and bullying, I would not put that stigma onto her, but she has undertones of colorism. Like I see it in the way that she looks at Wendy. I see it in the way that she it's like a envy of some kind. And then I also feel like with Candace, they wanted to embarrass that woman for, as Candace said, having generational wealth, and it almost seems like they're not supposed to have that level of affluence. And it's like, but why not, Giselle? Where is the hatred coming from originally? So that's why I see the hatred in Giselle, and I really feel like she's a colorist. And
Yeah.
that's just my
We,
opinion.
we, 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 we would have to think about that. I'm coming to you. Thunder, I hope I'm saying this right. Let me just address this here, right? So y'all call them green-eyed monsters, but but you're not colorist. How many of y'all picked on the green-eyed girl in elementary to high school, wanted to beat them up? So let me just address this really
There they
quickly.
go
I
again. They're
don't,
doing it.
the right, the reverse, right? But
Right.
let me just say this really quickly. I'm willing to bet. I don't know nothing for a fact, but I'm willing to bet within the black family, you got all hues, colors, shades, eye colors, all of that. You know, my cousin, I wish I could have time to run upstairs and grab this picture. My cousin is so bright, light eyes. I got family that they go from all the way to vanilla, all the way down to chocolate. So I don't think that we was just in school. Oh, she light skin, we gonna beat her up. I mean, that's just silliness, right? And I don't think that every light skinned person was like, oh my God, you dark skin, we can't stand you.
Yeah.
What we're just saying simply is that it exists. It exists and it can happen. And what we're also saying it is that Giselle and Robyn are doing a piss poor example of debunking the theory, because it just so happens to seem like everybody they pick on looks opposite than them. That's it. Did you want to, who wanted to say something? Smoke, go ahead.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
like,
got smoked
Giselle or Robin, is that you? But I just want to say this. How we sure how we not sure that Dr. Wendy did not say anything through that segment that they didn't cut out or edit, because the segment was incredibly short. So we can't even be trust that what we saw as all of that conversation and what happened. That's all.
And who's ever called them the green-eyed monsters? They're the ones
No
that
one did.
coined themselves the green-eyed bandits, because
Right.
Sermon from EPMD back in the day used to call himself that because he had green eyes.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where that person was coming from.
Well, the point that I was going to make was the person who said, Candace said that she was the only person who voted for an independent moderator. This is what I was talking about earlier. When something like this occurs and you feel that an injustice has happened, what is the consequence? A conversation without consequences is just that, a conversation. Let's move forward. And when we say that colorism exists, and we say you can look at the way that Giselle looks at Wendy and you can tell that she's envious, people who are colorists are not envious of people with dark skin. They don't want your dark skin because they don't like it. So
No,
it's
ma'am.
easy.
No, ma'am. That's
No,
not
that's
what
not
colorism
true.
is at all.
Right.
That's
Saying a person who's racist is not
Please look up-
envious of
Please
a
look up
person
the
with a different
definition of
Excuse me. I didn't say that was the definition of colorist. Somebody came up here and said that Giselle is colorist because
I
when
said
she
that.
looks at Wendy, you can tell that there's envy there. And I said, no, that is not colorism, because she looks at Wendy and there is envy there. If you look at someone and there is envy, then that's either envy or that's jealousy. It's not colorism because you have envy when you look at someone. I never. Does that make sense?
No, I think what they were
Yes.
saying is that jealousy or envy is coming from a place that, how dare this darker skinned woman have this man who loves her? I'm
Thank
light skinned.
you.
Look
Well,
at me. That's what they meant.
No. But that's different, and that's more in line with
It's
what
not
Diva
different,
was.
sweetie.
Well, to me it is, and I think that's
Have
more in
you
line
ever
with what.
experienced
Wait a minute.
Okay, hold on.
I
Okay,
have.
wait, hold on, guys. Hold on, everybody, for 1 second. What I don't want to get, hold on 1 second. Tamara, thank you for the super chat. I think that Giselle and Robyn relied on people telling them how pretty their light eyes were and never developed character. That's why men they choose or bored with them. I know people like that. I do too. So wait, hold on 1 second. Let me say this. This is what I don't want to do, right? I don't want us to go attacking each other
Each
over
other.
our opinions, right? I think we're all passionate about this conversation. I think that I thank you. I think that is could be a bigger conversation on this. And I think that on both sides of the coin, everybody kind of can get hurt over these situations, right? And I don't want to minimize this. I'm going to see if I can find someone who we can have a conversation with that can explain this to us a little bit better. I think that unfortunately in the African American Black community, don't beat me up, whatever one it is, you know what I mean? That we have some deep rooted issues that have been ingrained in us. And every now and then they seem to rise to the top. I think that all of those women on the Real Housewives of Potomac are educated. They have a real opportunity to do something different on TV. And what they're presenting before our eyes is some familiar stuff that happens within the community. And they're missing a great opportunity to show something different. So, Trent, thank you for the super chat. Y'all know so much about Giselle, but won't criticize Candace or Wendy.
They're pick me's.
Wait, hold on. I know. Hold on one second. And see, that's the thing people think too, right? Is that, if we say too much on this side, then we're not saying nothing about this one or that one. I think all the ladies, and I think somebody else mentioned it too, they all got their mess with them. And they all have different times on the show in which they show their mess, right? But I do think, of all the Black families that I know, literally they're mixed with light eyes, dark eyes, whatever. Let me tell you, and just to tell you, my cousin, this is not the best picture of us. This picture is so old, but I could show you. I have so many pictures. That's one of my cousins. That's one of my cousins. And let me tell you, my cousin, that particular cousin right there, people made all of these assumptions about her just because the color of her skin, and she wasn't even like that. So I don't want to miss to say that sometimes, yes, the light-skinned people get some heat too. She got a lot of heat. A lot of things was put on her that she was this. She thinks she's all that, all of that. I mean, very light eyes, that particular cousin, right? And it wasn't so. It wasn't even who she was. So we treat each other badly, sometimes just by appearance. There's so much fighting within the Black community that we have to resolve. That has nothing to even do with outside people. All I could say is that, I wish we could all learn to love each other. I do feel like Robyn and Giselle show a lot of traits towards certain people. And I do think that even if I forget about colorism or whatever else, I really feel like Robyn and Giselle are mean girls, and they go a little bit too far for the paycheck. That's just my opinion. Thank you for the super chat. You said Black is beautiful, but we got to see it, how exceptional we are in all shades. All shades. All shades. All shades. I mean, literally, I have family members that, unless you knew, they don't even look like they Black at all.
Mm-hmm.
And both their parents are Black. I promise you. Both their parents are Black. Like I said, I have better pictures. That's my boo there. Of me and my cousin. But I mean, you see other pictures of her. I mean, that was her at 10 when we was on the cruise. I mean, she just very light skinned, very light. But I want to close out because y'all don't have me on here overtime. Okay.
Diva, what did I tell you earlier today?
You did tell me. You the one put that on my back. But you know what I really want to do? I'm gonna look hard, and maybe Robyn, I gotta speak to LB. I'm gonna look hard because I think we do need a professional. We want to do what Andy and them did, right? We need a professional. We need.
I got someone in mind.
Okay, good. We need a professional to come up and talk to all of us. And then we need people of all different shades to talk to so we can have opinions from different perspectives from people with their experience, okay? And because I have my experiences too. And it's like sometimes, when there's a situation, you don't fit on that side, you don't fit on that side. The dark-skinned people think you light-skinned, the light-skinned people say you dark-skinned. So what are you? It's a mess. It's a mess. So we all get hit, whether you light, dark, or in between. We all got some issues that we can discuss how our treatment was accordingly, right? So everybody, I want to close out with that because I don't want us to go down the road where we're attacking each other, because we all got our passionate, different opinions, and we're all right within our own opinion. And we're going to bring someone in to talk to us all. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah,
Yes,
someone
indeed.
said Dr. Umar in the comments.
Wait, who's Dr. Umar?
Shoot me now. No, don't even now. Let's close this out. Let's close this out.
Okay, because Robyn, I could be slow sometime. I'm like,
let's close this out.
All right, listen, guys. Thank you for joining me for part 2 reunion of the Real Housewives of Potomac. I really feel it was a great conversation. We will be doing part 3, the final talk, next week. Tomorrow I'm doing, y'all know I love Love and Marriage DC, okay? We're doing Love and Marriage DC. I'm telling you, if y'all not watching Love and Marriage DC, y'all missing the show. Okay, y'all missing a show. So we'll be doing Love and Marriage DC tomorrow night, and we'll probably do trending topics later on during the week. But once again, thank you to each and every one of you that came up on the panel today. I know that this was a tough conversation because colorism, it's real. Whether we will ever be able to put our finger on it, no, because like I think you said, Ani, nobody's gonna admit, yeah, I'm colorist. Yeah, I'm racist. Nobody's going to admit to that. And that's why you have to give them the definitions and the situations to help them understand why what they're doing is what it is so that they can begin to change their behaviors. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night, and I'll see you next
Have a
time.
good night.
Don't forget, hit that like button, okay? And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.